I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I hope I set up the correct time. Um, I wanted to be at 2:15 my time, and I think I might be a bit late. I'm sorry about that. Uh, it's I'm getting into it. Let's go. That's what we're doing. Hey, well, you want to try a social experiment? Today's April 1st, so some people might think something of this. But yeah, hey Dracolome, how are you doing? Hey the Vegan Plant. Hey Richard Smith, Emily. Oh, a lot of awesome people in the chat. Alexandra also is there. Martin, amazing. Veganer. TYP, love it. Pia, hello. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some outage. Let's see. I was thinking of changing the methodology a little bit. Hey, you want to try a social experiment? Hey, Jonathan. I was thinking of changing the methodology a little bit since the last times I've been doing it, so that I don't want to push people too much to change, actually. But what I want more and more people is to acknowledge that it is wrong and that they need to change. That's it. That's what I'm going for. Let's see what happens. Hey, Nick Branduk. So let's see if that yields better results or something. We're going to be trying it out. Huh. And in case people don't know, normally before I do outreach, in order to not need to go to the toilet during outreach, I use a public toilet, and next to the public toilet there's always hey, you guys want to try a social experiment? There's always some geese, and today sadly the geese were yet again blocking the entrance. I don't know why. Oh, just call me vegan guy. Hey, vegan guy. Okay. Hey, you want to try a social experiment?
I'm curious, but I have an appointment.
I just ask you some questions. That's it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How long do you have?
I don't have any time, but I'm too curious.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
also see that you're filming.
Yeah. Are you okay
I'm
being
sorry
live for my YouTube channel?
I'm so sorry
Oh.
to cut your live experience here, but I'm curious, but I have to go. I have an
Maybe when you
appointment.
come back.
Oh, you're still gonna be here.
I don't know how.
Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah.
Good
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to talk with you.
Oh, you're gonna talk to me?
Yes,
Are you okay being live for my YouTube channel?
yes, okay.
What's your name?
Max.
Max.
I'm-
Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
I'm from Belgium. Yeah, I'm from the Netherlands, but I live in Belgium.
Oh, okay. Nice. What brings you to Amsterdam today?
Just visit with my girlfriend.
Ah, nice. Okay. So let me ask you, how do you feel about animals?
How do I feel about animals?
Yeah.
Well, I like animals.
Which animals do you like?
I had a cat.
Yeah.
Really lovely cat. I like dogs, I like home animals.
Okay.
Yeah. And baby goats, they look nice.
And baby goats. Okay. Okay. So you said cats and dogs and baby goats. Let me ask you, do you think cats, dogs, baby goats, do they deserve moral consideration?
What do you mean with that? Like,
So moral consideration means that do we need to consider their experience if our actions impact them?
yeah, of course, but I think it's a logical thing,
Yeah.
I treat my cat very well. Well, he's dead now, but I treated him very well. If he was sick, I'd take him to the vet, So it's like, for me, it's a logical thing. And for people that don't think it's logical, maybe they don't need a cat.
How did you see them? Did you see them as a member of the family? Did you see them as
Yeah, a member of the family.
A member of the family.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
So you understood that they have a personality, that they have an individuality,
Yeah.
and that they experience the world through their own, I don't know, subjective experience, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. So do you think that all animals deserve moral consideration, or only these three species?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's totally right. They all deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and I'm not trying to catch you up with this one. I used to be part of it too. But do you think that the animals that we force into slaughterhouses, the cows, the chickens, the pigs, do you think they deserve moral consideration?
Yeah. If I have to be with my previous point, they deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, do you think that we are giving them moral considerations when we're buying animal products and thus subjecting them to exploitation, abuse, and slaughter?
No, I don't think so.
No, exactly. So then, and I appreciate you saying that. So then, what is it that you think we got to do then in order to give them moral consideration for this?
Well, I watched Jeremy Clarkson,
Yeah.
Clarkson's Farm. He did a really, really great job with like the cows. He treated them well. They had a big field to run in, to play in. So I think he did it really well. And only when the animals were like really old, he would bring them to the slaughterhouse. And his personality, he didn't want to do that. You know, he was really sad to bring them there.
Yeah.
So I think Jeremy Clarkson on Clarkson's Farm, he did a really great job because, like, people have to, like, farmers have to, because people want to buy beef and chicken and that sort of stuff.
So if I want to buy the meat of cats, should we start farming cats?
I think in China they already do, right?
But do you think that we should start farming them here in the Netherlands and Western Europe because I want to consume cats?
No.
No?
No, but I think it's like not only moral but also cultural. You know, in the Netherlands it's not in our culture to eat cats, but in China it is. You know, so.
But do you think we should be concerning, because when I say moral consideration, do you think we should be concerning these animals based on our own culture, or do you think we should be considering these animals based on their own moral value?
You asked some great questions, and I don't think my vocabulary in English is good enough to
It's okay.
speak to you.
Let me just ask you this, because you clearly would be against the idea of killing cats for food, right?
Yeah,
So-
you can say so.
Why is it that what's happening in your mind when you think that cats is wrong but cows is right?
I think it has to do with like with daily life.
Yeah.
I mean, I eat beef and chicken from when I was like this little.
Yeah.
So it's the same with slavery, right? So now slavery is like a no-go.
Yeah.
But 1,000 years back, everyone thinks it's fine. So I don't know.
So since you brought up slavery, do you think that if you were to be born during slavery times, do you think you would have stood up to slavery, or do you think you would have just been complacent and had slaves?
The second, yeah.
The second?
Yeah,
you've been
because you're brought up with
Yeah.
it, so it's normal. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And what do you think is the right thing to do? Do you think the right thing is to stand up against these injustices, or do you think the right thing is to just be complacent with them?
Well, I like beef really, really much. So I eat like 4 times a week. I eat like beef steak, you know. So no, I think I want to consume. I want to consume it. I like it. So
But is that the right thing to do?
no, it's not the right thing to do. But people not always do the right thing, you know.
So then do you think that because you get pleasure, or because you want to do something that is you consider wrong, that then you should be allowed to do it because you get pleasure from it?
No, I know it's a bit wrong, but like speeding is also wrong, and you know, so people also speed. I get your point, and
There's a
I
difference.
think you're
Speeding,
right.
speeding is like, I'm sorry for interrupting you there. There's just a difference. Speeding is like, it's potentially dangerous. That's why it's wrong to do so. Whereas consuming animal products is not potentially dangerous. It is dangerous. It's directly impacts the animals. It directly exploits and slaughters
Yeah, but-
innocent animals.
I get your point, and I think the only solution is to stop consuming animal products.
Yeah.
Because if people don't consume it, people don't make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But clearly there is a market for, so people will make it, and if it lays there and you throw it away, it's also sent, you know.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. You were right about
Yeah,
that.
so I will stay consuming it because I just like it, and it's laying there, you know. So I
So
see
you would stay consuming it just
Yeah.
because you like it, but do your values not say that? Because your values say that it's wrong, and do you know what would you call somebody who says that something is wrong but they still do it?
Yeah, I don't have a good explanation.
It's a hypocrite.
Yeah, it's maybe.
So let me put it this way: if I were to say that I respect women, but then I go around beating women, do I
Yeah.
really respect women?
No.
No. So when you say you like animals, do you really like animals?
I really do.
You really do.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you, but I have to go back. But
You have to go back.
Yes. We'll
So
go
how
back.
many more animals should be exploited on your behalf until you change?
Millions?
Millions.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm okay with it.
Individuals who you said they have a personality and a subjective experience of the world.
Sorry?
Individuals who you said they have a personality and a subjective experience of the world.
Yeah.
Individuals who are exactly like you in all the ways that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that's okay?
I'm gonna say yes because I will stay consuming animal meat. So if I say I don't, then you say I can't eat it because that's hypocrite. But so yeah, then I'm a hypocrite. Yeah. So
Yeah, but
I get your
when
point,
you're a
and I'm-
hypocrite, it's not about doing the wrong thing or start aligning with the wrong thing. It's about doing the right thing
Yeah.
or aligning yourself with the right thing.
you-
Let me
you- I
give
get
you
your
a card
point.
before you go, okay? Don't go away that
Give me
fast.
your card.
Okay, just watch one of these, the minimum or the most important speech ever here. You
Okay.
just gotta scan this QR code. Promise me you'll watch one of these.
I
At least know what you were paying for. That's it, okay?
Okay.
Have a good one. Yeah. Insane, huh? Insane position. Insane position. Insane to think that Eric Kelly says beautiful day over there across the pond. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Insane to think that, oh yeah, it's wrong. And when I asked him how many more animals, he said millions. It's insane. Sad. He said he would have been a slave owner. He don't care. Yeah. Yeah, it's sad that some people are just complacent like that, huh? You guys want to try a social experiment?
Sure, man.
Are you okay being live for my YouTube channel?
Depends on what kind of social experiment it
I
is.
just ask you some questions, that's it. Can you come closer so that you're in view?
Okay.
What's your
Why
name?
is it here?
A little bit closer.
Are you doing a social experiment?
Fine. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Alright.
come on here. Yeah, what's your name?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, nice to meet you. Where are you from?
Nice to meet you. We come from London.
London. Okay, what's your name?
Felix, also from London.
Nice to meet you, Felix. Nice. So, what do you guys think about animals?
I love them.
You
I
love them?
have been an animal lover since I was a really young kid. I did my thesis on sort of human-animal relations, so yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Positive.
What do you think is the human-animals relationship if you did that thesis on that? What do you think, what's the relationship between humans and animals?
I think that it's very difficult not to treat them as a commodity under the current system.
Yeah.
I think that we have a lot of hypocrisy with like, oh, dogs are like totally different from like pigs, for instance. I won't be a hypocrite and stand here and say that I'm like a vegan or anything. I'm not. But I respect people who are, and I think that as a society we should really be working on cutting our meat consumption down. I don't think it's sustainable.
Okay, so you touched upon a couple of things there. You said that. Wait, can you say that about how you started again? I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired. What was the relationship between humans and animals? You said that they cannot be treated. We cannot avoid having them seen as commodities, right?
I think, yeah, in the current, like, sort of, say in Amsterdam or in
Yeah.
London, where I'm from, it's very difficult to not treat them as commodities. in
Do you
some-
see them as commodities?
I think I do to a certain extent. I try not to. But I think the way that the current system is set up with like large scale factory farming or like logging or like stuff like that, I think it's gross. I think it's horrible, and I think that we need to reorient ourselves to the natural world, because this is not how I think that we've sort of our relationship with the natural world has changed. The pace of change has outstripped sort of what is natural.
But do you think we need any animal products?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because I think that it would be naive to say everyone can just stop eating meat. I think that in a lot of societies where people still depend on animal products, my dad grew up on a pig farm.
Do you need to eat meat?
I don't. I'm in a very privileged position where I don't. And I'm trying to eat less of it, but I don't think that's the case for a lot of people.
So if you don't, how do you morally justify commodifying these animals?
I think it's one of those things where it's not a situation where I can be sort of trapped into saying, oh my god, like, yeah, I'm having some moral come to Jesus about, like, the way that I treat animals is, like, I'm aware that there is a double standard, but I think it's something that has to continuously develops over one's life.
So what you're saying is that you have to continuously support it, even though you
No.
could choose not to?
I'm
Well, I don't
saying,
think everybody can choose not to. Is
Maybe,
is
but
the distinction.
but you two could, right?
But that's like from a quite privileged economic perspective. that
Okay, you can see it
avoid
that way. So if you're in a privileged position where you could do the right thing, even if it would be more difficult for you or other people, don't you think you have a moral obligation to do so?
I think that it's hard to like completely moralize against like the animal food industry because lots of people can't escape it, and I think it would be
But you could.
sure, but I think then you can personally moralize. You couldn't blanketly say, well, then it's wrong to eat meat for other people who couldn't avoid that from their diet.
Well, there's people in this world who cannot avoid but fight for their country because they're at war. Does that mean I get to fight because people at different countries cannot? No. So just because others cannot do something, it doesn't mean I should do it.
But I'm not
too,
talking
right?
about you as an individual. I'm not saying you. I mean one as an individual. I'm saying, sure, yeah, there's probably a hypocrisy there. I'm not naive to that, but I'm just saying that it's probably harder to like make blanket moral statements about the ethics of food production.
I think, put it this way, I am graduating now. I have a lot more we get food offered at uni. I have a lot more control now as I graduate over what I eat. I have always set it as a personal goal to myself that whilst I think it would be unrealistic for me to completely phase out meat like immediately, like from tomorrow onwards, I'm never eating a single meat product again. I have always said that I want to cut down on my meat consumption, and I think that
Why?
if us as a blanket, huh?
Why?
Both for a myriad of reasons, both economic, health, moral, like.
Let's talk about moral. What do you mean by moral?
Well, I think that like if you can. I think that sort of blanket factory farming is wrong. I think that sort of
Why?
because I think that I think that the fact that we artificially inflate numbers and populations so largely purely for human consumption, I don't think that's sort of a morally justifiable stance, but I also don't think that it's effective to go around saying, like, to use a moral argument against meat consumption. I don't think moral arguments tend to work on most people, and that's kind of unfortunately how.
What if I
this
were
is
to say that I want to consume human meat and I want to start factory farming humans?
I think that's
Would that be a moral argument?
I think it's such a huge jump from the way that like animals have historically been viewed by societies. It would be an incredibly like.
But do you think that history should justify or?
No, but I think it dictates behavior. It's very
Fair
difficult
enough,
to.
but that's why I'm saying like behavior in the sense that it's hard to escape it, but morally speaking, if you know that something is wrong, you should be able to. You have you have autonomy, right? You can decide for yourself, and if you think that something is wrong, you can always choose to not participate in it. So.
Which
you
is
could,
exactly
at
why
the
I'm
same
choosing
time,
to reduce meat consumption.
but if you think it's wrong, reducing it. So if I think it's wrong to beat up women, and I beat up a woman every day, and then I reduce it to beating up women once per week, I still beat up women,
But
right?
beating up women and meat consumption historically, and I think you know that just as well as sort of the way that it's accepted in the rest of society, are very different topics under arguments with very different legislation and very different personal.
I understand the acceptance of society, but the moral aspect of it, there are two injustices. There's victims on the other side, and there are injustices that you participated in because you can.
But the scale of injustice is very different. It's like you're comparing completely
it's
different
way
scales.
worse for animals, yes.
No, it's what?
Wait,
Sort of
what do you mean-
domestic
what do you
abuse
mean-
towards women is obviously seen, whatever.
Do you think it's worse? What do you think is worse? Forceful insemination, stealing of babies, and exploitation, and then slaughter when they can no longer be exploited, or beating them up?
I think you know how you're framing it. I'm saying that beating up of another human being is obviously socially far worse than inhumane animal production practices.
But if you consider the victim's position, do you think that, because listen, I'm not trying to quantify here the pain or suffering of somebody else, but like you can argue, either way, you can argue they're both injustices, right? Like I don't want to go down this path with which one is worse, because everybody values certain individuals
You've just
differently.
asked us to say which one is worse, and you've also.
I'm
sort
sorry,
of led
I'll
down,
go
like-
back on that. That's not the point. The point is to see that they're both injustices and they both have victims on the other
And
side.
I completely agree.
So
Which is,
then
but I
why
think it
would
is
you-
much easier to say. I think it's a complete. I think whilst it would be admirable to say that everyone treats them on the same level of morality, that's not the case in society, and I think that.
But what about you? Let's not speak about others other than you. Because
I mean,
you
if
are
you're
you
gonna
are
ask
in a
me to
position
speculate
you are in a
on-
position where you can choose to not do this. You are in a position where you realize that it's wrong to participate in it, and yet your moral position is saying that you're not even in the way to stopping it. You're saying you're in the way to reducing it. So you're not even considering that fact that the correct way to
Did I
would
not
be
say
to
that
stop.
I was going to phase out meat consumption? You can't bait me into saying sort of like, oh, the only thing that I'm going to do is eat bacon once a week instead of like
But
5
not
times.
just meat, right? Like dairy products, eggs, all of these still exploit and slaughter innocent animals, right? So I understand what you're saying, reduce meat consumption, but if you're going to consume other animal products in the way, you're just doing exactly the same thing. And the whole point of it is considering the victims of these animals, especially given that you can, right? Like if you're going to go right now from here, you're going to be making choices throughout your life. You're going to be sitting down at the restaurant and you're going to be saying, well, I'll have to pick something. And if you're not picking the vegan choice, you are directly exploiting and slaughtering an innocent animal when it would be absolutely nothing to you to choose a different thing.
Well, I think that's a great sort of good moral cause that you're talking about, but I think there's a huge cognitive dissonance between these profound moral statements that we're making here and what people see. And you
Is that
probably-
also your situation, that you're in a cognitively dissonant place?
I think that it's probably quite hard to speak for oneself, like as an objective sort of like statement on, oh, I have a cognitive dissonance about the way I see and consume meat products. I'm just saying, I think that for most people, they're not making these decisions from a like moral platform of like, oh, I don't care about the victim animal that I'm consuming. I think that there's just a perception of it as just food, and I think the first step is to probably bolster some kind of educational campaign rather than framing things in these moral terms, because I think you jump so far beyond where most people are.
But
I agree.
okay, but you two understand. I
Anyways,
understand what you
I
mean about
understand
other
what you're
people, but
saying.
you two understand. You two understand the idea that it is wrong to do so. So how many more animals should go through this process for you? How many more animals should be exploited, slaughtered, and behaved because they literally cut off their heads? How many more animals should have their heads cut for you so that you can get something that is essentially optional for you, which you could always choose otherwise?
I think, okay, this is, can I pose a question? Because we do have to leave soonish, but I agree broadly with virtually everything you're saying. But do you think that people tend to see the world, like I'm not asking this as a loaded question, but how many people do you think see the world the way that you do?
Do I care? Does it matter?
No, it doesn't, but I'm
It's just an
asking,
interesting
it's an
topic.
interesting topic to discuss.
Fair enough, but you know, the thing is, when we bring it to population and to other people, we always try to escape the responsibility that we have as individuals. Do you acknowledge that you have responsibilities for the animals that are exploited and slaughtered for you?
Yes, but I'm not really talking about the animals, I'm talking about the way that the issue is communicated in society. The reason why I see it as like if everyone, say, ate meat only once a day rather than 7 days a week, it would be a massive blanket improvement.
Still an
in
injustice.
general. But it is still an injustice, but it's not something that can be changed purely on moral grounds given the way that society is set up. That's my view on it. I appreciate your time.
Not in the level of society,
Sure.
but when it comes to individuals, you two could stop your contribution like this right now. You two could go right now and no more animals are exploited and slaughtered for you. You want to escape this reality, but that is the truth. Maybe other people will not, but you two can. You just said that you can. You're in a privileged position where you can.
But I think people do accept sort of a moral hypocrisy to lots of their economic choices. I mean, in buying lots of things that we go and purchase beyond just.
But
sort of food
hypocrisy
production. But I'm
when
saying
there's
that
victims
I
involved, you
understand-
shouldn't just
I love
accept
the
it.
idea that there's this great moral cause that everyone has in all of our purchase power. But I think the truth is that most people don't have.
But what
that.
about you? You have that. You
It's
can
like,
choose.
okay.
You keep running away from the responsibilities you have.
No,
I
I'm
understand
saying
others
that-
cannot, but
And
you
I'm
can.
saying that
But I'm
my
not saying
respons-
because we recognise an injustice in our purchasing power, are we then morally more capable? I think that we just have to recognise on some level that you should try and reduce your global impact. But on some level, people do operate from a selfish perspective.
So you
And
still don't think you should stop? You're still
I
calling
think
it
that the idea that you should stop food purchase is a noble one, and in theory I agree with you, but I think in reality I just don't think it's a realistic expectation for most
So you
people,
two cannot-
including ourselves.
When you go to a restaurant, you two cannot choose a vegan option?
I'm saying you can
I'm
make.
not saying that I cannot. I'm just saying that I'm saying that where I can, I will. But if it's a situation where I don't see why it has to be, I don't see why sort of saying reducing meat consumption to once a day is still seen as like sort of, but still one animal a day
Because
is being
you could
beheaded for this
choose.
cause.
You could
There's-
choose not to.
Pivoting
It's still
slightly,
wrong.
There's more of an interesting like aspect to this, which is how do we improve the conditions in which we produce livestock rather than the volume. Volume is obviously important, but
So
there are
slavery
obviously-
wasn't the. So just to
I'm not
just
gonna
to pivot,
even,
just to
like-
pivot to another injustice, right?
No,
what you're
I'm not
saying is
going
that
to
the
speak
slavery
on
wasn't the
parallels.
issue.
I'm not getting
but
moved on to
yeah.
sort of equating slavery to animal rights. That's where I draw the line. I especially think that it's
why?
it- because I think
Kind of
that
Godwin's
this is
law a
something
little
that we
bit.
can't. I think that it's given his history behind each institution, it's something that can't be talked in the same way. I appreciate this discussion, but I think that this is sort of a ground that is.
I think there's more
Contest.
fruitful ways of
I think there are
speaking
more-
about this
yeah.
than drawing it through analogy to things that are just
Yeah.
Well,
extreme.
Let me just put it this way. So, you are right about societies that they're difficult to change, but you are wrong about one thing: your involvement, your responsibility, and you acknowledge it. You don't want to say it, but you acknowledge that you have responsibilities. And even to that one individual, if you were in their shoes, even if you consume it once per month, once per year, if you were in their shoes, you would beg for somebody to not cut off your head, to exploit you or slaughter you.
we just
But
don't
for some
exist in
reason,
these blanket
but for
moral
some
terms.
reason,
It's
because you are not the victim, you somehow think that it's okay to exploit and slaughter one innocent animal, and you call it a blank moral statement, but you called it wrong. Something being wrong is wrong even if you do it once a week, once a month, or once a year. It is still wrong, especially given that you can choose not to. Like if you were in situations where you would die if you didn't choose this, it's a different case, right? But you're all the time in situations where you can choose differently. All the
I
time.
mean, I really do appreciate the advocacy, and it's something that, you know, we should work on better practices. And in sort of an ideal way, yeah, we probably would like adopt everything that you're just saying. But I just don't think that people in general will. And I think that you need to improve education. That's all I have to say on the topic, though.
I agree.
I think it's an
that-
education issue. Education first.
But I educated you and you don't want to do it. What do you mean? How can it be an educated issue?
I think that there's obviously still a cognitive dissonance between what people see on a menu, and we're outside a restaurant, what you see on that menu versus the realities of food production.
I think the levers of reducing meat consumption needs to be moved to more than just morals. Say, for example, like greening the society, or say, okay, an issue that I feel quite passionately about is like prostitution and pornography. I think instead of just saying it's wrong to use fossil fuels, or it's wrong to see women as exclusively sexual objects, there are more ways to talk about an issue than purely just saying it's wrong to do this. Yes, that is a very important aspect, but if it's not currently geared to being, if the conversation is not currently geared in that way, then sort of, I think methods have to fit the conversation that's out there.
So, just
I
one
agree.
thing, because you said it's wrong to use fossil fuels, right? If you were in the situation where you could choose fossil fuels or clean energy, why would you choose fossil fuels?
But I don't think people have these levers
But
of
you do.
alternatives.
I
No,
understand
I
others
think
don't,
we
but you
exist.
do.
We exist within the framework of a society.
Doesn't
and
matter, you have
need
the
government
choices.
to legislate, and you need broader changes.
So what
than
you're
an
saying is
individual.
that in that situation, you wouldn't choose clean energy because everybody else doesn't have access to that.
I'm not.
You would
I'm
instead
not, I
choose
refuse to be
fossil
drawn
fuels.
into the analogy points. I've said that before, and I'm not going to be drawn into this one because I don't.
So
think
you
it's very
can't
fun.
you can't
Focus-
draw analogies or hypotheticals.
You can,
Because
but I
it's
think
not,
that they're
I don't
not
think you're
like for
drawing the
like.
correct ones.
I took your analogy and I drew it exactly
no,
as you
but
said.
what I'm saying is, I use that point not to compare it against consuming meat. I use that point to say, sometimes it's
Consuming animal
insufficient to
products,
just
not meat.
talk about
Consuming
yes,
innocent
consuming-
sentient beings.
Yeah, consuming animal products.
Sentient
I
beings.
think there's
yeah.
a difference between the reason
Between
why
cutting
I
the throat
talk
of
about
animals.
pornography and the reason why I talk about fossil fuels is that morals aren't the only way that these issues are talked about societally. I'm not talking between me and you.
But you,
I appreciate this
you-
conversation, but we're
you
sort
say
of getting on
you,
with
you,
the day.
you see that
Thank
you're
you
you're
very
running away from me, but the innocent animals cannot run away from you.
Sure, but
I think it's very
But
bait
what-
and switch tactics. I
It's
think
not.
that emotional.
That's the reality.
emotional,
Maybe
like,
maybe you
ways-
refuse to accept that. I'm being very logical right
No,
now.
I'm ju- okay,
Logically
that's
speaking,
how
you
you
have
perceive it.
options to
I'm just
never
saying-
exploit
Can I ask
an
you a
innocent
question?
animal, and you choose to exploit innocent
I
animals.
think
That is
emotional
absolutely
arguments are
logical.
less effective to change people's minds.
What is exactly is emotional about
Okay,
what I
can
said
I
is
ask-
100%
Because when we're
logical.
just trying to respond to you, you say these like descriptors of the barbarism of animal production, and I think that it's a kind of a agitating video-style way of debating.
Not at all. I had actually had a pretty good conversation with somebody before you. But like some people they acknowledge their responsibilities and want to change, and some people they want to dodge it like you
But
do,
you're
and
saying
you want to
that-
say that society cannot, therefore I will not. That's what
No,
you're
I'm
doing.
saying
But
that
you're
we're a
saying
much
that
smaller
what
part
I'm
of
doing
society.
is like insufficient. Like if I said,
It is.
say, I have never, it's like for instance, like if any given person, it doesn't necessarily have to be me, tried to use clean energy where they could, or like doesn't use sort of animal products in their
If you
you
have
know,
the option to
clothing or
do the
whatever
right,
and whatever.
so if you're presented with the right thing or the wrong thing, doesn't even matter what it is. If you're presented with the right thing and the wrong thing, you have the option to do the right or the wrong thing, and you choose to do the wrong thing because you've been doing it your whole life, or it's convenient, or whatever other reason you have. Like, I understand why you did it in the past, and I don't care about that. We all did shit in the
But
past.
may I
It's when I bring it up to you now, your reaction shouldn't be, well, I want to reduce it, I'll think about it. No, your reaction should be, holy shit, it's fucked up, and I no longer want to participate in this. That's what your reaction should be,
But may I
especially
just
given that
expand
you have
beyond
the
animal
options.
production sector? Lots of agricultural practices are incredibly exploitative. So if we're going to have this debate, we need to expand it to.
Well, how does that morally justify you
doesn't
choosing
morally justify it, I'm
an
just saying
innocent
there's
animal
a-
to be exploited and slaughtered?
Because in real life, the conversations aren't one; they're like fruitful interchanges of ideas, and I think that I'm just positing a broader.
But you're not
point.
being intellectually honest. How can we have a fruitful conversation when you continuously dodge your responsibility?
Because I think that society is just like.
See, just now, I say you're dodging your responsibility,
fine.
and instead of acknowledging your
As
responsibility,
individuals in
you're talking
society,
about a
people are morally
society.
hypocrites, and I think.
Yeah,
that-
you're still talking about others. You're
No,
still
I said
you're
one
just
in society.
well. Say me. Say talk about yourself. Don't talk about others.
I mean, we're now splitting hairs a little bit.
No, it's extremely
I really
important
appreciate
that
the
you
time. We
recognize
do have
your
to go.
responsibility.
I
This has
appreciate
been
your
really
time.
interesting. Thank you
This
very
is-
much, and
we'll
have a lovely day.
Yeah. I appreciate your
I don't know
time.
how many more animals you want to be exploited or slaughtered on your behalf, but I hope that if you were in their shoes, you would. I hope that you do what you think is right if you were in their shoes.
Well, you've started an interesting conversation, and I commend your valiant.
And I hope
social
that
effort.
if I frustrated you in any way, that you don't take it out on them, because I'm trying to be logical
no,
and
no,
clear
No, hang on,
about
hang
it.
on, hang on. That language
Yeah.
is very.
I'm not going to
that
sort of
language is
go
very
eat a steak
baity.
specifically because we had this conversation. If anything, it will be the opposite. The next time I see something on the menu,
I
I will
hope
go
so.
and instead.
I hope so. I just keep your eyes open, and let me just give you a card before you go, so that I'm not your enemy, by the way, right? I'm not.
No, I don't
I'm just
see it
trying
that
to
way
be.
at
I'm
all.
trying to be very direct and very honest with you, and it's. I don't blame you for dodging, by the way. I'm just trying to tell you that your mind does this. My mind does this also about issues, right? Our mind is trying to protect us from realizing that something we're doing is wrong. But if I bring it up to you, I want to see some form of acknowledgement and a will to do the right thing, because if you're saying that maybe I don't know, maybe the solution, like if your response to this is I don't know, maybe it's like kind of fucked up that
Well, I just
somebody
think that
brings up
this-
such a big
this format
injustice.
of talking about these topics isn't the most effective. I think that there's naturally a combative aspect to the way that, like, talking about a social experiment is framed. I think that I have taken this conversation as like we're in opposition. I've just seen it as a healthy conversation. But I think that to educate people is a really important first step. But I think there are better ways to educate people than have this style of.
You're welcome to do any other type if you think my methods are not correct, right? But you're welcome to do it. Like, I encourage you to change and do it differently if you think you can do it differently and better. That's also why I started doing it, because I'm trying to be honest, direct, and sincere with people. Like, some people don't appreciate it, but I have not insulted you. I have not said anything,
No,
but
we're not saying
I'm
that.
being direct with you. And because the animals deserve at least some acknowledgement that they're oppressors, that they are oppressing.
Is this just out of interest, just curiosity? Is this the only topic you do on live streams, or do you cover
I'm
up
going
a
to
range?
start doing about trans rights also. So.
Okay.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. You have my social media here.
Yeah.
Just watch the most important speech you'll ever hear, or Dominion. You just got to scan this QR code.
All right. Yeah.
You'll
that's
enjoy
great.
them. I don't know. You seem like smart people. I hate it when I see smart people who go around it. We need more on our side. At some point we will need systemic changes, but we cannot get there if so few people are on our side. If everybody is on the other side paying these industries to fuck up animals, we need people on our side.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Have a good one. I'll just give you a fist bump. Okay. Cheers. Lewis says, Chip, you did well by not backing down. Yeah, I mean, I don't like this whole approach of, I want to be honest with people. And I feel like it's sad to see that people who could always people who can make changes try to find ways to not make changes. It's kind of sad. It's just kind of sad to me. And I understand for some people it's more difficult, but that's the thing. I think if you're not vegan and you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, what does this guy want from me? It's not. Listen, we're not, obviously we would rather the whole world go vegan. Obviously we would rather you go vegan overnight. But what I want to see from the people that I speak to, from the people that are watching, What I want to see is people wanting to change. I want to see the will to change. I want to see people interest to change. I want people see do their best in changing. Clip, we need people on our side speech for a real good one. Oh, thank you, Alexander. You also sent it as a message. Thank you so much, Alexander. Yeah. It's these kind of conversations that usually make me the saddest, when people can and they choose not to. But you know, people will, is this guy gay? I'm not gay, no, thank you. My sexuality is pretty complex, and I would try to explain it to you, but I don't think you would get it, so there's no sense in going into that now, and I'm not here to discuss my sexuality, but no, I'm not gay. And even if I were, nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful to be gay, just like it's beautiful to be straight. FYI. That's like saying we should give reparations for slavery. We should give reparations for slavery. What do you mean? We should. But that's a totally different topic, isn't it? It's a totally different thing also. Because my whole point is, if you acknowledge that what we're doing to animals is wrong, if you acknowledge that you have other options, then even if it is difficult, you should still be, your moral position should still be, I have to change. I will try to change. And regardless of what that means, maybe it's a journey for you, whatever. Maybe it's overnight for you, I don't know. But you have to be intellectually honest with yourself, and you have to get there intellectually honestly towards the point where you have to get. Because otherwise, you're just gonna, you know, you're just gonna be dodging it. And if you're not vegan and you're listening to this, I urge you to ask you, why are you dodging this? Why are you dodging this? Why are you thinking? Why are you not looking into this? Why are you not asking yourself, is it really right to exploit and slaughter an innocent animal for something that you don't need? And what if that animal were a dog, some animal that you like? What if that animal were human even? Doesn't really matter, because you know if the victim has the same capabilities to feel, to emote, and could have this, maybe not the same, but could have a subjective experience where their position makes them suffer, where their position makes them want something differently, as in to not be exploited or enslaved, then it doesn't really matter the species of the victim. It doesn't really matter the level of intelligence of the victim. All that matters is that there is a victim, and that you can choose otherwise. Animals exist as and for themselves. 100% sure. 100%. I read for sure. Somebody saying, mate, people have been eating meat for 2 million years. Asking people to not eat meat is like asking a shark not to hunt or a tree not to grow. Mate, people have been killing each other for 2 million years. Asking people to not kill other people is like asking a shark not to hunt. There you go. I just turned it around for you. Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how the people literally have been doing that for centuries. Does that mean it's moral to do so? No. Come on. And believe it or not, society nowadays is... You guys want to try a social experiment? Society nowadays is totally different than what it was, isn't it? Today we have options. We can choose differently. Today you're not hunting animals. You're not killing them. You're literally going into a supermarket, picking a neatly packaged product. You're not even looking the animal in the eye when you're exploiting and slaughtering them. Not that that would make any difference. It would still be an injustice. But to think that... Hi. You want to try a social experiment? Okay. And FYI, everybody, if you want to know what it is that you are participating in the description of this live stream, there is a video called the 3-minute video. You will watch. There's a link towards the 3-minute video. You guys want to try a social experiment?
Okay, what's about?
I just ask you some questions. That's it. Are you okay? Are you okay being live for my YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Can you come closer to that camera?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Leo
Leo. I'm Chip. Nice to meet you. Where are you from, Leo?
from Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, so Leo, tell me, how do you feel about animals?
Animals. I
Yeah.
love animals.
You love animals?
Yeah, I had a startup idea about animals. So I'm like founder of startup about animals, animal care.
And what kind of care? What do you mean?
It's like a pet service which will provide you to take care of your pets and just you know, when you go abroad and you don't have anyone to like leave your pets with, and like for example you go some shops and like pet food prices are like really too high, it gives you a platform which will like provide you with like pet care, like you can just have a pet sitter and also have like map which shows you the discount price of the food to the nearest pet shops.
Like paw shake?
Yeah, like I mean, kind of,
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you.
but it has different options.
Am I to understand that you like cats and dogs?
Yeah,
You like-
every option. I don't know.
Say it again.
Just you mean pets or just animals?
I'm just curious, what animals do you like?
Oh, I mean, I had hamster.
You had a hamster.
Yeah, I had parrot. I had dog. I have dog. I have cat now. Yeah, she has a dog.
So let's talk about dogs then, since it's
Aye.
easier. Do you think that dogs deserve moral consideration?
I think they have enough.
You think they have enough?
Yeah,
What does that mean?
I mean they're being taken care of us. I guess if I'm correct, I don't know.
So-
I mean we take care of them.
So moral consideration means that if our actions impact them, then we should consider them morally.
Okay, so what kind of actions do impact with them?
So let me put it this way: if I am driving my car,
Mhm.
that I should consider whether there's a dog in front of my car or not.
I mean, if you're driving a car, you should consider everything, not only dog, but
Yeah, but assuming that in a hypothetical scenario my car doesn't get dented or doesn't get hurt if I run over a dog, do you think I should consider the life or the experience of that dog?
of course,
Of course. Can I ask why?
because their life matter and they're like alive animals, like they're alive, they're like I don't know, they're dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter if it will be a dog or it will be like I don't know, just a rat. It's alive.
Yeah. So we shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said not dogs, not rats. What about cows, chickens, pigs? If there's a cow in the middle of the road
Yeah.
and I could run them over with my car without any consequences to my car, should I?
No.
So I should consider them and not do that to them.
Yeah.
What if it
mean-
were extremely inconvenient for me to do so, that I would have to go around them or something? It's very difficult to not do so.
I mean, when you're driving, like it depends. Like you see the cow for like long way, right? It's not
Yeah.
something small that you won't see.
Yeah,
you have
but,
to take that in consideration because it's like basic skills of driving.
yeah, but let's imagine that there's a one-lane road. This cow really doesn't want to move,
So it's like
and I would have to
hypothetical.
stop the car and wait until they leave.
Yeah.
So I lose hours. It's completely inconvenient.
But it doesn't give you a reason to kill a cow
Okay. it
or just
doesn't.
animal. Doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Okay. What if I would eat them afterwards?
When you kill them,
Yeah, I kill them. I run them over with my car and then I eat them.
I mean, I don't think that it's like I don't know how to say appropriate because like I mean you're literally like hitting cow by car and after eating them,
Yeah.
it's cruel.
Okay. Then do you think that if I were to use a bolt gun on their head, would that still be cruel?
Yeah, because it's bolt gun.
Okay. So, and what if I cut their throat directly? Would that be cruel?
I don't to be honest know how do they kill the cows in farms.
That they put a bolt gun into the head and then they.
Really, they
yeah.
just shoot them.
Well, a bolt gun. So they use a gun that immobilizes them and then they
Okay.
cut their throat.
So they're conscious or not?
Theoretically, they say they're not. Practically, we don't know. That's the reality. But
Yeah.
so,
But I mean, if
if
you're
I
not
get them to be
conscious-
unconscious, would it be okay for me to kill them and eat them?
I mean, if it's not gonna hurt them, yes, because we need that for a living. I mean, we don't technically like it's not something that like there can be different opinions, but if people think that they can like eat cows and eat meat, they can.
So what if I did this to a dog? Same thing.
You can pet a dog. You can pet a cow too. kind of. But I mean, dog isn't something that like takes you so much effort from you when you pet them. I mean, it
but I
takes
would
them.
I would not make them suffer, as you said, right?
Yeah.
I would still keep them unconscious. But I would
Actually,
still cut
people
their
do
throat
that
and eat them.
in kind of countries, as
But-
I know, as far as I know.
But according to your values, would that be okay to do?
No.
So, but your values say it's okay to do to cows, but not to dogs. So I'm wondering, what is the difference?
Just relationship between like connection, I guess,
But-
between.
So what if I told you I have no connections towards dogs?
So you'll say that you don't have any connection to dogs and you'll just kill them
Yeah, why not? I don't
If
have
so-
any connection to them.
if they're unconscious.
Do you have any connections to koalas?
I haven't seen them.
There you go. So you have no connections to
Yeah,
them. Would
I
it
know.
be okay to? But you know how koalas look like. They're these cute little fuzzy
Yeah,
bears.
but they're like, I think their breed is like not much everywhere. So I don't think that it would be a good idea to kill them.
They're not that much what?
Like there are not too many of them.
Oh, in that
Yeah.
sense. Well, it's okay because I'm breeding them. I'm bringing them into existence. So it's not. I'm just taking two of them from the wild.
Okay.
I'm sexually exploiting them so that I get more of them, more babies of them, and then I'm
Alright.
killing them.
I mean, maybe there will be some kind of regulations from you, but I don't think that I'm 100%.
But do you think your values say that? Is that okay to do?
No,
So if we do
Because
this to
cow-
cow,
because you eat cow. Like you were born in, like, I don't know which kind of way like you were born, but we're raised like we need to eat them.
but
So
if-
maybe it's not correct to eat them, but we're doing that like for like since human was created.
But you touched upon an interesting thing. You said in China or in other countries
Yeah, in
they
other
do
countries,
eat
yeah.
dogs, right?
Yeah,
So
as far as I know.
and maybe they were raised that way to do so, right?
Yeah, maybe they were raised that way, but as far as I know, they're not like anymore doing that.
But you
If
see
I'm
what,
correct.
But you see what I mean, like.
I
it's-
definitely know what kind of point you
from the
have.
perspective of the victim, do you think they care do you think they know that there are species that we disconsider them, or that we think that it's okay to do whatever we want to them as long as we get some products from them?
Would you eat like dog meat?
Would I eat dog? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would personally. I would consider every animal, because all of them deserve to live, because they have a subjective experience of the world.
Yeah.
But if I were to be consuming cows,
Mhm.
it would be the same as consuming humans, the same as consuming dogs.
Humans?
Yeah.
No.
Because
Humans can like sing. They can like. We're different from animals. I mean,
Can you-
some
can
people
you name
aren't
that
different from
difference?
animals. Yeah. We have. We are able to think and we are able to make decisions and we are able to be aware of our choices, kind of stuff. Like we're just more evaluated than in other animals.
What if I find an intellectually challenged human being who cannot do any of that?
Sorry?
What if I find an intellectually challenged human being who cannot do any of that?
Yeah, but still human being.
So that's not the difference.
There's a difference. Like intellectually challenged doesn't mean that they're not humans.
No,
Like,
but,
they
but,
weren't
but what
born
I
in
ask
that-
you, what is the difference between humans and animals that justifies the difference in treatment? And you said
There's so
that,
many
it's,
like
that they are smart. Well, clearly, if they're not smart, you say, well, they're still human. So
I didn't say that they're smart. I said that we're more evaluated. Like we're humans. Everyone has the same right to do everything like equally. So I don't think that animal should be treated like that.
but
because
I'm
they're
not saying
animals.
give animals the right to vote. I'm saying
I mean,
do not
yeah,
cut their
so-
throat for something you don't need. Is that really that far-fetched to say do not cut the throat of a cow if you don't need to do it?
If cow will be unconscious, you can do that.
So you don't give a shit about cows at all?
I don't give a shit about cows because people eat that anyway.
So you don't really think that from their experience, it doesn't really matter if they suffer, if they feel, if they emote, if
I
they
mean,
have a
I'm saying if
subjective
they don't
experience.
suffer. I don't think that they do in farms. Do they?
Well,
I
they
mean,
do
if they're-
suffer.
if-
They
if
do
they're
suffer. but-
unconscious- if
Of
they're
course, they do
unconscious-
suffer. Yes, because like they get sexually exploited, slaughtered. They have their babies stolen from them. It's a pretty fucked up industry what we do to animals. But like
You're correct. It's fucked up, but it's already been like this for a long time.
does that make it right?
No, it doesn't make right. but it doesn't mean that we're not gonna eat it anyway.
So let me ask you, do you think it's wrong to consume animal products?
No, I
No?
don't think so.
So you think it's right to
I
exploit
mean,
and slaughter a
depends which
cow?
kind of animal. Like it's all.
So why do you discriminate based on their species?
I don't discriminate. They're like edible.
What do you mean you don't discriminate? You said if they're
I mean,
born
they're
a certain
edible.
species.
Like I don't think that cat meat will be edible. If we're gonna kill
it
them,
is. It is.
it's cat.
Yeah.
meat. I don't know.
There's people who eat cats.
For real?
Yeah.
What kind of people eat cats?
I have no clue, but you can look it up, and there's definitely people in this world who eat cats.
They just kill them and
Say it again.
they just kill them and eat
Yeah.
cat. That's weird. That's not right. I don't
Why
think so.
it's weird to do the same thing to cows, and you're saying it's not right? Like
I mean,
just fail to understand
really,
the logic.
it's really
So wait, do you think a cow chose to be born a cow?
yes.
Do
No,
you
I mean, it's not like they chose to be. We don't even choose like how we're gonna be born. Like if
So
we're
then
gonna
why
choose, I
discriminate
wasn't
based on
born in
something that
Georgia.
they didn't choose for?
Sorry?
Why discriminate based on a trait that they didn't choose?
Because they're cows, and people eat
Because
them.
they have that trait, that because they're a species that you think they don't deserve life? What's the difference
Say
between
these are, like,
discriminating
there are so many cows which are living for their like really long time. There's like we're consuming like we're not only using them for a meat, but we're only like we can use them for milk too. Like like
What, do you know what happens in dairy industry for milk?
no.
Why do cows produce milk?
Sorry?
Why do cows produce milk?
Produce milk? I have no idea. I've never
For their
really
babies.
touched it. For their babies? Okay.
Yeah. So what do you
So-
think? Do you think they get pregnant on their own, or do you think farmers get them pregnant?
I think farmers will do that.
How would you call it if somebody else would get her pregnant against her will?
She's human.
So does that matter?
Does it hurt to a cow to get pregnant?
I mean, they put their hands in their anus to hold their cervix, and then they inject bull semen in their vagina. I don't think it matters if it hurts or not. If she were to be sedated, and she wouldn't even know if
No.
if somebody
you
did this
got
to
a
her.
different point. You're talking about her. I'm not about her, but
I don't think that the victim matters as long as they have an experience of the action being done onto them. Why would the victim matter?
it's like really radicalism kind of thing because like when it's about humans, you can like talk about this kind of stuff.
But just imagine if we did this to humans, what would you call it?
Cruelty,
Cruelty. Okay.
Yeah.
If we did this to dogs, what would you call it?
same.
Same. But if we do it to cows,
We're just consuming them.
so it's normal. It's okay.
I don't.
It's
thi-
not cruel.
It's normal
But it's not
till
cruel.
they don't. Of course, it's cruel. I didn't say that it's not
So
cruel.
it
It's
is cruel.
Yes, it's
Okay.
cruel.
What do you think happens to the babies when they're born?
Sorry.
What do you think happens to the babies when they're born?
I think they take away and raise them independently.
Yeah,
Not
they take-
independently, but
Do you know why they take
Farmers.
them away?
to teach, not to teach them, but to make consumption again and like just make connection chain. I guess.
So that they don't drink the milk.
They don't drink the milk.
That's why they take them away, so that they don't drink the milk.
Okay.
Because the milk, we say,
We need
it's
milk,
ours.
and they. Okay, it's ours. Are you sure?
Is
that
it
they-
really ours?
I don't think that's ours.
No, it's
Maybe we can
theirs.
share.
Yeah. So if
I
they're
don't. I don't drink milk.
if
by
they're
the
born
way.
male, what do you think they do to them?
Male. Raise them and kill them.
They kill them. They
Yeah.
sometimes raise them. A lot of the times they just kill them directly.
Yeah, it's not good.
And females, every year they get forcibly impregnated,
Mhm.
and at some point and have their babies stolen from them and exploited for milk. And at some point they kill them. Do you know why?
No.
Because they cannot get them pregnant anymore.
Oh, so they just kill them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of logically alright, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they do. So and do you know when that happens, by the way?
After kind of years, I don't know.
A
3
quarter of their lifespan.
quarter.
Yeah.
So how much will they live?
So normally they live 24 years. They can live
For
up to
real?
24 years.
How
yeah.
can? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and they get killed around 6 to 8 years.
Yeah, we haven't had a farm, but I have neighbors who had farm back to my village. So I mean, I've seen some cows taken care of.
Yeah, but all of this, do you think that because they're cows, that they shouldn't be considered morally? They shouldn't be their experiences of all of this shit that we discussed shouldn't be considered? Do you think it's not cruelty just because they're cows?
I think it's cruel. I
Yeah.
think it's cruelty. It's cruelty to every living animal.
And I
to do
appreciate
that.
you saying that. And
Of course.
like,
But it doesn't mean that if I'm gonna say that, it's not gonna happen.
so then I agree with you. But do you think that if it's cruelty Don't you think that then it's wrong to do this to them for
Then
products?
people should think about how will they be able to like just give them less pain, not only by physically, but also like kind of like get their lifespan a little bit bigger or something like that.
So still do this to them, but somehow not have pain, not feel pain.
I mean, they will have to do that, but if they're gonna do that, just
Why do
do
they
it
have to do that?
because people eat meat.
Should people eat meat?
Yes.
Why?
I'm not really good in like I don't know what it's called, but I don't know how it's like really important for people to nutritionally like.
Well, I'm a
take
certified nutritionist. I can tell you we
Okay.
don't need animal products. And let's say you find out
So
that
like
we didn't.
we didn't need. I mean, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Because we have some startups going on in Georgia, which are like they don't use any kind of like animal product. I mean,
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So I know that it's like it's.
So you can,
You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
can
so
still do that.
if you can survive and thrive without doing this to animals, then don't you think it's
I mean, if like
wrong
for
to do
example,
this
if
to
I
them?
would be raised that I wouldn't knew like what was a meat, and if I would never taste a meat, and if I would be raised in that way that like people will just like don't tell me to eat meat, or just when I was born, not born, but when I was raised and like I had a meat as my dish in a day or something like that.
if you were
if
a
I
different
wouldn't-
person, you would have a different answer. I get that. But
No,
the
no, no,
question-
no. I say that like if I would be being raised like that, I don't think that like if you would raise me, like if you would raise your child, like you're gonna like give them a, I don't know how to say, daily routine that they won't eat meat. It means that like they will survive, so it will be alright for them.
Yeah, but you can also survive and thrive without eating meat.
Yeah, it's kind of addiction, I guess. Not addiction, but something that's like you already had for your whole life. I mean, of course, I can just like turn vegetarian or something like that, and just
Well, vegetarians, you know, we discussed it. It's what
Yeah.
they do to cheese, and for cheese and stuff, it's still wrong. But like vegan, with
vegan,
yeah.
vegan. Yeah.
So, but what I want from you is, do you acknowledge that it is wrong?
I think it's cruel.
Yeah. So I appreciate you at least changing your mind about that, you know. But
No, I always thought it was cruel. Like, I kind of was thinking about that while I was doing some
Yeah.
of my projects. I was seeing them in real life too. So, I mean, of course it's cruel.
so then, isn't it wrong to consume animal products? If it's cruel, what if the practices behind animal products
It's
are
wrong.
inherently cruel?
It's wrong, but world got used to that. So it's, of course, wrong if like people can survive from that and like people can survive without meat. Of course, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But as we are not only raised, but we're like getting used to that couple of like years along, I think we're just going to use that. I don't know.
Do you think we should change,
I mean, it's like people have
given
their
that
choice.
it's wrong?
Sorry?
Given that you say it's wrong, do you think we should change?
No,
No.
no, not we. I mean, I will do whatever I want in that case, because every people has their like choice. And
What about the victim's choice? I would have to, why? What you said it's wrong, right?
I said it's wrong, and I said that it's cruel, but I don't think that like they're gonna stop by me saying that.
So are you for animal cruelty? Is that what you're saying?
It's like, I mean, yes, it means that I am because I eat meat.
And is that okay?
I mean, I already said it's not. But I still
there
eat
is a
that.
contradiction. You see it, right?
No, look.
Because if you say it's not okay, then something within you says the animal cruelty is not okay. If you think animal cruelty is not okay, then you obviously shouldn't be participating in it.
What do you think?
You want to join this conversation?
Yeah, please join. No, I want you to join. Yeah, like it seemed that I avoid the question, but the answer is that, I mean, I will think about it more.
Okay.
Yeah, I will just have conversation with my vegan friends.
Obviously, that's a good thing, but like, let me put it this way: if I beat up women every day, and you
Mhm.
bring it up to me, and it's like, hey, these women don't want to be beaten up, stop it.
Yeah.
And I say, well, I'll think about it. Is that a good enough answer?
No,
No.
because they're women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they deserve to live. Because they deserve to not be beaten up.
treated, yeah.
Yeah.
Treated.
Same as all
Normal.
these other animals. They deserve to not be exploited and
You're
slaughtered.
like 100. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that you're 100% right.
Yeah, it's just I'm just trying to, thank you, but I'm just trying to get you to also understand your responsibility in the matter, and
Yeah,
to,
of
to try
course.
to get you to on that path towards changing, because we need people to stop exploiting animals.
Yeah.
You know, we need this shit to end because it's wrong. We have other, like maybe in the past we could have justified it because we needed to, but now we don't. Now we're in a place where we really don't, and it's cruel and it's bad, and we can. I personally don't know how I could justify going to a restaurant, seeing all these options, knowing that behind them there's an innocent animal who was exploited and slaughtered, and seeing a vegan option right there and saying, you know what, I'll choose the other options. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, for me, it's just a choice. But when I make a choice, that innocent animal, I remove their choice of life, their choice of, and it's a whole life for what, 10, 15 minutes of food for me, which I forget about in a week or two.
Okay.
And everything gets erased from me, and their whole existence, exploitation, that whole misery that they go through for what? For something that it didn't mean anything to me.
You're correct.
Let me give you a card before we go. Thank you for
Yeah.
having this conversation with me.
Thank you.
Watch the Minion or the most important speech you'll ever hear. You'll enjoy them, just to know
Yeah.
what you're paying for. You know?
I'll definitely.
Okay?
I'll definitely.
Thank you
so
for-
much.
thank you for having this
Have a good
conversation
day.
with me.
Bye bye.
And have a good one. Bye.
Nice to see you. Bye.
Bye. That was a good conversation, was it not? That was okay. I don't know if he was like, I think what I noticed was that he was realizing that he was in the wrong, and he was kind of saying it so that he doesn't look bad live, I guess. But it's okay, you know, like, that's what I said I'm gonna try today, right? I'm gonna try to get people to say that it is wrong, or at least to see, to acknowledge that it is wrong, not to say it, because saying it means nothing. And hopefully they make their change themselves. I think that's way more productive. He was coping hard, says Lewis. Yeah. What's the vegan workout routine? I need to know what meals to run, says Organic Alchemist. Yeah, you know, like, there's a lot of things you can eat. Organic Alchemist, I suggest you try Challenge 22. They hook you up with a nutritionist. They send you recipes every day, and they help you go vegan for free. There's a link in the description. It's just another organization where they hook you up with other people who have the same goals as you, and they give you recipes and they help you do it. Hey Chip, it's Rebecca's friend Josh. Hey Josh, nice to see you. Thanks for the kind words in the video you sent, the JFO show. Hey Josh, thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. You know, I always appreciate it when. Thank you for the kind words you said, and I don't know. We both agree that Rebecca is awesome, so there's that. So thank you for that. And everybody, if you're new here, welcome to the stream, and I hope you're enjoying the conversations we've been having so far. Remember to hit that like and subscribe if you are. We have a nice community over here. We unite in the comments. We talk a lot of cool stuff, and we're trying to change the world, you know, the right way. I think the right way is by informing, being logical, being straightforward, and you know, not caving into emotions. I really am trying that, because I don't like. Sometimes I might get emotional also myself, but I really am trying just to be highly logical and not caving into that. Yeah, and the Vegan Plan says awesome community. Exactly, Erwin. Humans have rights and animals don't recognize rights. So no, it wouldn't be right as the humans doing it should recognize. I don't know what you mean by that. So wait, if you find human beings who cannot recognize that they have, whether they have rights or not, if we find intellectually challenged human beings, or human beings who, I don't know, just cannot possibly reason the concept of rights, does that mean we can exploit them? Does that mean we can slaughter them? Love your work, by the way, but I'm out. Too much work, too much woke blocking, says Jania. I don't know what that means, but okay. How much protein are you able to consume in one day as a vegan? Asks Organic Alchemist. I don't know. There's days. I think at least 150 grams every day. When I'm at home, I consume like 200 grams a day because I also have like more protein bars. I think I have a bit of an addiction to protein bars. I think I want to change that because I've been eating a lot of protein bars, not because of the protein, but rather because, you know, when you eat a protein bar, you have this perception that you're eating something healthy, but you're not really. It's a protein bar. It's something that shouldn't be consumed that often. So yeah, I went down this rabbit hole where I've been eating too many protein bars. So sometimes I have like 300 grams of protein in a day because of eating so many protein bars, but I would not endorse that. Let's say when I eat healthily, I get between 150 and 200 grams of protein. Something like that. What about lab grown? I mean, I don't have. Listen, if there's no animals being exploited or slaughtered, there's no issues. That's my problem. That's the whole thing, right? Being vegan means opposing the cruelty, the exploitation, the slaughter of innocent animals for something that is essentially optional to you. So if that means you want to pick up plant-based meat, what do you call it? Precision fermentation meat. I don't even know if that exists yet, but I know there were talks about it, or lab-grown meat, or whatever kind. It's not about what you eat; it's about who you eat. It's about the innocent animals being exploited and slaughtered for us. It's about not putting them in that position. Should we stop exploiting insects? Of course, we should not be exploiting anybody. Are you religious? No, I am not religious at all. I'm an anti-theist. I believe religion is detrimental to society. And individuals in the society, by the way. Okay, so if that's the case, we can lab-grown cow and eat it, and that would be okay. Well, Tyler, again, if there's no innocent sentient being exploited and slaughtered, yeah, I don't care. It's not about what you eat. It's about the innocent animals who are exploited and slaughtered. It's not. Like, let's put it this way. If you accidentally run over a dog with your car and you want to eat them, I don't think there are some ethical issues with it, of course. But you know, we'll address those at some point, I guess, because right now I feel like people have issues understanding the individuality of animals, and that's kind of insane to me. So to me, the way I see it, if you accidentally run over a human being and you want to eat them, and let's say there's no legal repercussions for you doing that, and you would want to eat them, I would say it's exactly the same as if you would run over a dog, a cow, or whatever, and you want to eat them. It's the same consequence. Personally, I wouldn't do it. There isn't any exploitation involved, and if it truly is an accident, of course, then yeah, I don't think morally it is that wrong. But you know, you could go into the whole idea that you still should respect the body autonomy of those individuals, which you should. But then you can also make the point that maybe those aren't sentient individuals anymore because they died, right? So I don't know. You know, there's this whole thing about accidentally killed individuals that you would want to eat. But I would argue that instead of going down these rabbit holes of complex conversations of trying to find loopholes in the system, it's so easy to be vegan. It's literally, you go into a supermarket, you choose, instead of the meat, plant-based meat, instead of milk, plant-based milk, instead of cheese, plant-based cheese. That's it. It's easy. Why even go through all of this? Oh, what about this? What about that? Why? You know, like, you wouldn't go through the, hey, you want to try a social experiment? I just ask some questions, that's it. You wouldn't go through this whole, oh, but what about this or what about that? Like, if you're just coming in here trying to prove a vegan wrong, you cannot. You know why? Because veganism is a moral concept that is pretty fail-proof. Because veganism literally means rejecting animal exploitations as much as is possible and practicable. How can you ever deny that is not the moral thing to do? It's always the moral thing to do. It always is. Would you disrespect a deceased human body? Asks Sally. Exactly, that's a good point. I wouldn't personally. I would just like I wouldn't a deceased animal, but you know, if somebody were to be doing that, and I don't know, no, I don't think it's right to do so. I personally don't think that's right to do so. But yeah, you know, again, it's a complex issue to some people. Sunny days are here again. Hello, Amsterdam, says Marcos. Hey, Marcos, nice to see you here. Yeah. I suppose the reason to ask these questions is because it is interesting to think about the philosophy of veganism, says Ruby. Yeah, sure. It can be interesting, but you know, I believe that, you know, within the vegan community, there's a lot of interesting questions that we're having. There's a lot of interesting moral, I think it's quandrum. I don't know what that word is, but there's a lot of moral things that we still question, you know, and the vegan community is a lot of the times split in a lot of these moral questions, split into, well, what about this, what about this, what about this, what about this, right? But we all unite under the same idea that, well, regardless of the answers to all of these questions, regardless of what the correct way, what the moral way to do for all of these, I don't know, edge case questions, the reality is you should not be exploiting or supporting the exploitation and slaughter of innocent sentient beings, given that you have the options not to. That's just it. It's as simple as that. We don't have to complicate it. We can go down the road and discuss these topics. They're interesting indeed. But the simple fact is that at its core, veganism just makes sense. It just makes sense. Animals eat animals. Is that natural or a thought behavior? Well, I'll just put it this way. Just because animals eat other animals doesn't mean we should, doesn't it? Because animals kill other animals rape other animals. You know, lions, they commit infanticide, they kill their babies. You know, just because other animals do it doesn't mean you should. And that applies to, like, I'm sure that this logic you apply it also to your daily life, right? Like if you see on the news that there's humans who killed other humans, you're not gonna be like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go kill humans. I didn't know humans kill humans, right? Like it's just, it doesn't matter what others do. What matters is where your values lie. And if your values say that, well, it's okay to exploit and slaughter innocent animals for optional products, for something you don't need, just because you can, or just because you get some form of pleasure from it, or just because it's convenient to you, it's kind of insane, right? To have these values. Somebody said, go to bed, wokey. Why? Is it the problem that I'm challenging values? Is it the problem that that I'm trying to make the world a better place for everybody? Okay. Go to bed. The world is good for me. Why would you want to make the world good for everybody? The world is good for me. If I have to change for the world to be better for everybody else, I'm not gonna. I tell you, I'm not gonna. Sorry. Not sorry. Does that chip guy said it's okay to eat the cow grown in the lab? So I'm just trying to understand his standpoint. Tyler, really, you really didn't get it, that it's about not exploiting or slaughtering innocent sentient beings. Somebody please explain to Tyler what innocent sentient beings are and why is it wrong to exploit them? Because they have the capability to feel the exploitation that's being done onto them. If you're going to be eating some cells in a petri dish, I have no issues with that. Why would I care about that? They're not, a bunch of cells are not sentient. Chip, what's up with the episode 1 in the title? Linda, thank you for noticing. I actually am thinking of calling it episode 1, episode 2, episode 3 and going down that route. And I think I'm going to be making like a thumbnail that's pretty standard and going to be replacing some things within it. Because I want to focus more on the outreach and what I do. And I'm thinking that it's also easier to identify. I don't know. I just saw other people doing it this way. Other people who do outreach daily, and I don't mean necessarily animal rights outreach, but other type of outreach. And I thought maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. So I'm just it's also easier for the people who follow me and who subscribe to me and who come a lot to my streams, like you, Linda. And thank you for that. I appreciate you. To kind of know. Well, wait, is this the latest one? Is this a new one? You know, like, you kind of know where you're at. I think like it's just like a marker. That's kind of how I see it. Nearly every vegan had the courage to watch every second of Dominion. I didn't. There are 0 meat eaters in this chat who have watched every second of Dominion. Time to face what you found. I'll be honest, I didn't have the courage to watch Dominion. I didn't. I watched 5 minutes of it, cried like a baby, stopped it because it was too much for me. I cannot stand seeing the suffering of animals. I just cannot. So, yeah. But this was when I was vegan. I tried watching it. I went vegan for logical reasons for me. So it's just a logical position to have. You guys want to try a social experiment? Okay, I'm gonna apply some sunscreen, everybody. Give me a second. I'm gonna put the microphone somewhere here. And by the way, I see this E-age, go to bed wokies. E-age, first of all, veganism is not a woke position, and even if it were, why is it bad to be awakened? Is it better to be sleepy? Is that what you're saying? Is it better to live through life with the position of sleepy? Isn't it better to live through life with the position of awakened? Hey James, nice to see you.
Hi.
Hi, you want to try the experiment?
Yeah, sure.
Just ask you some questions. That's it. Give me 1 second. Let me finish this.
Take your time.
That's it. It's sunny. We gotta make sure that we.
Sunny, you'd melt from where I'm from.
Are you okay being live for my YouTube channel? Yeah. Can you come in view? What's your name?
Lynn.
Nice to meet you, Lynn. I'm Chip. I'm a bit. I'll do this.
I'll just, yeah.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so Lynn, where are you from?
Jordan.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know where that is?
I know. I have a friend from Jordan, so I know where that is.
Cool.
Let me ask you, Lynn, what do you think about animals?
I love them.
You love them?
Yeah.
Which animals do you love?
Rabbits, Highland cows, baby goats, chickens. Yeah.
Oh, nice. You mentioned
Farm
a lot.
animals.
You love farm animals? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think then would it be okay to exploit farm animals?
Exploit? I think that's like I mean, they were made for food, so
Who made them for food?
I mean, they were created, no? Yeah?
We made them, right?
No, God did.
Will we bring them to existence?
I mean, yeah, when we breed them, I guess.
Yeah, and we selectively bred them to be how they are.
Yeah.
So if God created any animals, they're not the ones that we are selectively breeding and creating right now.
I mean, God created them, and then they're just like, it's the chain of life, I guess.
And do you think your God would rather you kill an innocent animal or not?
I mean, everyone's innocent in this world, so I mean, it depends on what you believe in. For us, we believe that some animals were made for us to eat. And yeah, are you vegan?
Yes. What is your religion?
Islam.
Islam. Okay, so I know that in Islam you have this thing where it says it's wrong to harm any animal when you don't need to, right? Even a sparrow or something like that.
True. Yeah, that's why when we do kill an animal, we slaughter them, which is the most merciful way to.
But isn't that harmful since you don't need to?
You do need to survive.
But you don't need to eat meat, do you?
I mean, it depends on what diet you want to follow.
So what you want to follow, not what you need to follow. You hit the nail. So you want to eat meat.
Yeah, you can eat meat, you can be vegan, you can be pescatarian.
So if you can be vegan, then that means you don't need to consume animal products. So then how would we morally justify the exploitation and slaughter that these animals go through?
Yeah, but if you look at it at a more in a deeper angle, I think, if you eat grass or eat plants, animals also need to eat plants. And then if they do eat plants, do you think that animals would have like the ratio of animals to humans which are eating the same source? Do you think this would make the same source like have less of a percentage to satisfy both demands? Because there is a lot of humans on this earth and there are a lot of animals, and animals breed, or like they give birth on a faster rate than humans. So to satisfy both, do you think eating plants for everyone would be sufficient?
Well, it takes 8 times more land, up to 8 times more land, to make 1 gram of animal protein versus plant protein. So if everybody was to be switching plant-based diet, then yes, we would have 8 times more land. We would have 8 times less land used for food.
Yeah, but also you need that land for humans and for animals to live.
But that's what I mean. You would be in a way better off solution, right? Because
If
if
you-
it takes way less land to produce the same amount of nutrition, then if you multiply it by the number of humans, we would use way less land, and there would be more land for animals and us.
I don't think that's true, because it takes time for you to plant these vegetables, and then all the vegetables are also on season.
But
And
what
if
do you
you're
think the
facing
animals eat?
drought, they also eat plants.
So, did you know that soy, for example, that most of the soy, up to 80% of the soy grown for food, is grown to feed the animals?
Yeah, but to also feed plants, you need water.
But
And
again, so
how about-
all of these, they're studies. You don't have to trust me. on this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's
no
the-
one here has to prove a point, but I mean, I think it's the chain of life, and animals consume stuff, people consume stuff, so it's basically like a personal choice whether you want to consume animals or consume
Well,
plants.
how can you say you love animals if you choose for them to be exploited and slaughtered?
I'm not choosing.
But you said it's a choice.
Yeah, well, okay, I have a question for you. Do
But
you think-
please answer my question first, then you can.
Okay, yeah, sure. It is a choice. I'm following a religion which allows that to be eaten to maintain balance.
I don't think it does. I think you justify it. But your religion literally says if you don't need to harm an animal, then you shouldn't. And you're just saying,
Yeah, but
well, I'm going to
there's-
ignore that
No,
because it
no.
says you can't harm other
I think
animals.
there's a definition to what harm means. Yeah, you can't just be abusing an animal.
So cutting their
Slaughtering-
throat is not.
No, slaughtering is not abusing an animal.
If somebody cut your throat, would you think it's abusive?
I think that's a different question.
Why?
Because slaughtering an animal is something and slaughtering a human being is something. Because if you want to justify the slaughtering of human beings, can we maybe talk about all the children that are being bombed in Gaza?
Is that bad?
Do you think it's bad? Do you
What if
think
we
it's
ate them
okay?
afterwards?
I think eating human beings is another question as well.
I'm just because like from my position personally, it's bad to harm humans and animals, of course.
Yeah,
right?
true.
And I'm a pacifist. I'm against war of any kind. I think it's stupid that we have so many wars. Don't even get me started on it. I hate the shit out of it. I think the whole humanity shouldn't even have borders, from my opinion. I think we should all just live under the same roof and be able to travel freely. But that's a different thing, right? But I'm just sitting here trying to say that animals, these innocent animals that you think that you were given permissions to exploit and slaughter, that
Slaughtering is something, exploiting is something.
but exploiting, they do happen, right? You consume dairy products.
Yeah.
What has to happen in order for dairy to be produced?
They milk a cow
So why does a cow produce milk in the first place?
to feed the young.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think that they get pregnant when they want to, or do you think farmers decide for them?
Both. It's the chain of life.
But farmers,
Do you think cows would get pregnant even if farmers did not exist? They will. And they will still produce milk.
maybe not in captivity, who knows?
Yeah, but they would still reproduce, and they would still produce milk, and they would still.
Well, what do you
feed
think happens?
their
Okay,
young.
okay. So you think that the fact that farmers forcefully inseminate them is not a big deal?
I mean, farmers are doing what farmers do.
So it's not sexual abuse to you? That they put their hand in their anus and they inject bull semen in their vagina?
I think that's another thing. So.
But that's the
really-
standard practice. That's how they forcefully inseminate cows. What do you think they do when the babies are born?
They feed them, and then if they want to be turned into beef, when they slaughter them.
No, the first thing they do is they separate them from their mother. Do you know why?
No.
because they would drink their milk, the milk that was made in the first place for their babies. Wouldn't you say this is cruel?
I mean, yeah, but not all farmers do that.
All I've seen it my grandma in her backyard. I come from Romania. I've seen it in my grandma's backyard. All farmers do that.
You can't say all farmers.
100% of farmers. I will say, listen, I'll tell you, okay, majority. The chances are that if you are going to be consuming dairy, there's a bigger chance that you will win the lottery than that you will be consuming milk that where the baby has not been separated from their mother.
Okay.
Like maybe there are some farms out there, but almost all of them do that.
Can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
What are you here for?
I'm trying to speak for animal rights. I'm trying to get these animals to stop being exploited.
Were you always vegan?
No, I changed.
Okay, what made you change?
Well, learning about the dairy industry, what they do, and I thought there's no way that this is happening in the Netherlands here, which is like, animal welfare is a big deal here. People think they care about animals. But then I looked it up, and you know what I found? That 1,300 dairy farms here, they don't even kill the babies after they're born. The male babies, they don't produce milk, so they kill them normally. But
They slaughter them for
yeah,
food.
they kill them. So, but here in the Netherlands, there were like 60 to 80% of the farms weren't even doing that, but they were letting them starve to death. But either way, like to me, I don't think that
What do you tell your younger self when you used to consume beef? Weren't you happy back then? Or like you had a normal diet? What would you tell your younger self?
wake up.
Wake up. Okay, fair.
It's fucked up. It is. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen what they go through. I don't know if you've even seen, like, because I'm assuming you might eat halal meat, right? Have you seen the latest undercover scandal in UK about halal slaughter?
No.
They were playing with the animal's head. They were taunting the animal. They were hitting them. Like, even when you're doing halal slaughter, you might be in a place where you're not respecting your own religion. So it's just that I feel like if your values say that it's wrong to harm animals, then vegan is the correct position. And I'm assuming that your God would always rather you show compassion. Even if you said these animals you can eat, I'm assuming that if you could show them compassion and fairness, your God would always rather you show them compassion and fairness.
Yeah, we do. That's why they're raised in specific ways, and then they're slaughtered in a specific way.
What if you were to find out that you're being lied to about that?
Well, if I'm lied to, that's not on me, that's on them. I would have to do my research. That's on me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I follow my religion, and if it says something, then that's up to them.
Have you ever watched halal slaughter?
Yes, we do every Eid actually.
But and you think those animals want to die?
Do you want to die?
No, but I don't support people
Do you wanna
dying.
die?
No.
No, but in the end, you're gonna die. No.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being killed and die, right?
Yeah, you never know.
We're
how
all
you're
gonna die. We're not all gonna be killed.
Exactly. Yeah, but you never know how you're gonna die. A cow can die from sickness. and
But
it
all
can
these
die-
cows, you know for a fact that all these cows are killed, and you're supporting it.
I'm not. No, I don't say killed. I say slaughtered because there's a difference.
You use a different word to justify violence towards animals.
It's not violence.
You think
Maybe
cutting the throat of
I
an
think-
animal is
I
not
think-
violent?
No. What I say, and for your viewers as well.
Can you hold this for a second?
No, I'll keep it with you. I need to run, but I'm just gonna say one thing. I think everyone needs to do their research between killing and slaughtering, and yeah, you'll find out why.
Is this not
cows
violent?
This is not slaughtering.
This is putting the knife to the throat of an animal.
This is not slaughtering. I need to run.
Do you think
Take
this is
care.
violent? The folder. Using religion to justify needless violence is so sad, huh? Using religion to... Even when your religion says that it's wrong to do so, using it as a justification, that's insane to me. It's insane. It's just sad. The neuropharmacology, hey Chip, hello. We're gonna get a lot of these people, you know. I just hope, you know, because I feel like when people run away, the sad reality is that they run away because I hit the point, right? I hit something. Yeah, you want to try a social experiment?
Sure.
Are you okay being live for my YouTube channel?
What's your YouTube channel?
Oh, sure. I'll give you a card afterwards. No worries. I just ask you some questions. That's it.
Oh, about what?
Oh, that you'll see.
Oh, okay. Okay, go
You want to try?
Sure.
But you gotta come closer and in view if you want to be on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your name?
Nerra,
Where are you from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Nice to meet you. I'm Chip.
Nice to meet you.
So, how do you feel about animals?
I like animals.
You like them? Which animals do you like?
I have a dog.
You have a dog?
Yeah. I like most animals, not bugs.
Do you think? Fair enough. Do you think that animals, that the dog that you have, do you see them as a member of your family, or do you see them as
Yeah,
inferior?
as part of my family.
you see them as part of your family?
Yeah.
Can I ask why?
They have like a lot of personality. I've grown up with dogs, and yeah, I think they
Would you say they're individuals?
individuals.
Yeah, like there's somebody behind those eyes,
Yeah,
right?
a brain. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a brain, they have an experience of the world, right? They
Yes.
make decisions that they want to make.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you think all animals have that?
I think it depends how smart they are.
Do you think pigs have that?
Yes.
Chickens?
Maybe. Yeah, she's vegetarian,
You're
but
vegetarian?
um,
You want to join this?
I don't know that much about chickens, but depends how smart they are.
Cows?
Probably.
Yeah. Do you know what we do to cows for dairy?
For dairy?
Yeah.
Not really.
Breed them and then use their milk.
Yeah. So why do you think they produce milk in the first place?
For their children.
Exactly. So they have to be pregnant.
Yes.
How does that happen? Do you think they get pregnant when they want, or does the farmer get them pregnant?
The farmer.
Well, if we did that to a human being, what would we call it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the procedure is somebody puts their hands in their anus to hold their cervix, and they inject bull semen in their vagina. Yeah. That's the standard practice.
Okay.
What do you think happens when the babies are born?
They take them to breed them for like
They take them away, but do you know why?
to use them.
No. They separate them. So on the first day of life, they separate them from their mother because they would drink their mother's milk.
Mhm.
Is that not fucked up?
So how do they survive?
They feed them a formula.
I think it's fucked up.
It is pretty fucked up.
You're
yeah.
not vegan.
No, but I'm
Okay.
vegetarian.
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they're born male, they don't produce milk. So what do you think they do to them?
They kill them to eat.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they're female, every year, like their mother, forcibly inseminated, have their baby stolen, exploited for milk, and at some point they kill them. Do you know when?
When they're too old to make milk.
No. When they can no longer get them pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. That happens at a quarter of their lifespan. Because they're forcibly inseminated every year, and no body was made to be inseminated like that every year, right? Like
So
you
do you think
Yeah.
we should just live off of like plant protein
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Alone?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think eventually that's
I mean,
the
we
ideal.
can. Yeah. If we can do that, why not? I think it's. I personally think that none of these animals deserve to go through this.
Yeah, I think the technology is still developing, so at some point in the future, that's probably what's going to happen. But until then, we still need to like
I mean, I still think
survive
there are
with
benefits to it. Like,
not
I don't
like
to
protein.
like the nutrients that we get.
What nutrients do you think we can?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not very educated. on that.
Protein
Why would you say
from
that?
the
I'm
milks
just-
and the
I-
meat.
I'm just saying that that's what I think. I don't think that. Like,
No, I think that's the
very educated.
ideal eventually.
So,
We're not-
but we have alternatives today, don't we?
Yeah, we have some.
So how many alternatives do there need to be
There's
so that we stop?
unhealthy-
Yeah, but there's problems with the alternatives
Like
too.
if you have too much soy in
It's not good
tofu,
for
like
you.
that's not.
Yeah. There's problems with every with almond milk. They find problems with it, and
I mean, there's problems
so
only
having-
having milk as well. Like I think there's
Yeah,
there's a balance for a reason. Like I don't think
Yeah.
you can have too
Right.
much of anything.
I agree. But until there's more alternatives, I would say.
But wait, so let me put it this way: if nutritionally you can get your adequate diet
Yeah.
where you could thrive
Yeah.
on a plant-based diet, would you see it as a moral obligation to not participate in this exploitation and slaughter of innocent animals?
Yeah, eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So, if I give you the resources that provide you with exactly what I just mentioned,
What do you mean the resources?
access to a nutritionist that would help you get the nutrition that you need to thrive. for
And
free.
Wait, there's also a religious
Yeah.
basis for eating meat. Like we're Jewish, so for us eating meat is like
There are certain
yeah.
meals that are like biblical and that we practice today that we still eat like meat as part of a religious obligation.
Meat
Do
was
you have to
actually-
consume animal products?
have to, but it's like
no.
a it's
No,
a
you
very,
don't.
You
It's
don't
a tradition.
have. You don't
It
have
brings
to.
you
but-
up
Yeah, it's
higher.
a tradition.
So-
Like at the
Meat
end of
was
the day, this is-
originally not. We weren't allowed to eat meat. In like the Torah, it says it wasn't the ideal, and we had to make it like in order to survive, we were allowed to. So they changed it so that we could. And I've learned in some of my classes that the goal eventually is that we're not supposed to eat meat
Yeah, but like,
once we're at the point where we don't.
well, the way I see it, we're at a point right now in our world where we don't need to consume animal products, right? Because we have
To an
alternatives.
extent, a lot of people have health issues if they don't get the nutrients.
But again, if you put that on the side and I give you access to nutritionist, I'm a certified nutritionist, by the way.
Yeah.
But if I give you free access to a nutritionist and a proper diet where you don't never need to do this,
Yeah.
then what justification could you find to continue doing it?
The thing is, we also
I
don't live in
don't-
the religious.
but we don't live in
But
a
religiously,
society.
you don't need to do it, as you
You
said.
don't need to, but it brings you. It's like it's called a mitzvah. So it's
So
like,
what would
it's
you
a good
think?
deed.
What would you
yeah,
think?
it's a good deed.
But
Yes,
what
it
would you?
is.
Do you think your God would rather you exploit and slaughter an innocent animal,
No.
or not?
No, that's
No.
exactly what she said. It's not.
The
us.
So
ideal
then
is to not
the
eat
ideal
meat.
would be to
We
not
originally
do
were
it.
not allowed to.
I will say though that like we have limited knowledge. Like this is obviously like our society today. Like I would say, I mean, I don't know if you agree. Like the majority of people do eat meat, animal products. So
I know
like
that,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
right. So we don't know that like what the society would be without that. Like there could be other health issues and other ramifications.
There's
of,
been
of
vegans
cutting
for
out.
hundreds of years.
No, but I know, but it's not like widely like if the entire world would not eat any animal products or animals, whatever. Like
Wait, but
we
would
don't
you
know
have
what
any
problems
health
would-
issues if she did something differently with her diet?
No, I'm just saying once things like
So it doesn't matter if the whole planet does
once
something
things
or not.
become
Your health deserves.
more produced. Like we don't know what problems would arise. Like we can't just say that that would be a better world. Like
But again,
it
putting,
hasn't
putting that
advanced
on
enough.
aside, putting that on aside, the fact that are you talking about the well-being of or health of humans, or the
Yes.
well-being and health of animals,
not animals.
or environment, or whatever?
But I don't know what it would do to the environment either.
It would be considerably better for the environment. But the well-being of humans, like I could go into how meat is extremely unhealthy, but I don't want to go down that route because I don't think I
Does
think
this also apply to fish, by the way?
fish is the only meat that is actually healthy. But yes, fish, you shouldn't be eating fish because fish are still sentient. And my point here being that it's an injustice what we do to animals. And of course, if I take this perspective from any other injustice, as in, hey, I'm punching somebody, it's an injustice that I do towards them. But then I stop because my fist hurts. It's not that I'm doing something good that I stop. It's just that my fist hurts. It's the same as you saying, well, I will stop consuming animal products for health. That's why I don't talk about health a lot, because health shouldn't matter. All that should matter is that you should know that you can be healthy and thriving without doing this to them. So if you know that you can be healthy and thriving without doing this to them, how can we ever justify doing this to them?
I agree. I think there are also improvements that can be made in the industries in a way that you would be able to, let's say, use some of their milk without putting them through such a terrible, bad process. Like there are ways of changing it without
I just
fully
don't think
getting
you
rid
have
of
to cut it out entirely. I don't think
Yeah.
that's a solution.
Why?
Because I think that there are alternative ways
there
to
are-
do it. Like I think there's
Like
still
I think animals
health
benefit
benefit.
from us. Why can't we benefit from them? Like
How do animals benefit from being sexually exploited,
not
abused,
in
and
that
slaughtered?
way.
Not
I'm
that.
saying that's just like
But that's 99% of the animals.
Our religion is not against any animal products such as dairies or
I know, but you
We're not
don't
talking
like.
about- wait,
I
Do
understand
you
your
think that there's any difference between humans and animals?
not one that justifies violence towards them.
What do you think is the difference between? Like you think they have the same amount of I don't know.
intelligence.
I think there's
Intelligence,
I think
like
there's differences in
experience.
intelligence. I think there's differences in intelligence and experience between you and I, but I don't think that that would justify me exploiting or slaughtering you.
You think that's
but you're the same.
comparable.
You're the
I
same.
Yeah, you're like this is a
You're both
different.
human.
I don't care if a species is just something you were born as, right? If I was to if I was to choose to be a human being, it would be a different case. But I was born a human being. A cow was born a cow. To judge them based on the fact that they were born a cow is insane to me, because none of them chose it. Yet if they're born a cow, we think that it's okay to exploit and slaughter them. But if they were born a human being, we would give them a total different consideration. And if we talk about traits that they have, I think we are similar to animals in absolutely all the ways that matter. We feel, they feel. We think, they think. Are we more intelligent? Perhaps in a lot of ways we are. But we shouldn't judge violence based on intelligence.
Well, what about animals eating other animals?
Well,
Like that's their nature.
I would rather they stop,
human
of
nature
course.
It's human nature also.
Of
to
course,
eat.
I would. It's human nature to be violent, but we don't encourage violence.
No, it's
Therefore,
not. I
I-
don't think
Human
it's
nature to be violent?
Yes.
I don't think so.
It's human nature to survive,
How
and
do you think there's-
violence comes into play
And
when you need to
meat,
survive.
And eating
No,
meat
no,
is
no,
part
no,
of
no.
survival.
There's a war in the world happening. Ever since you were born, ever since I was born, there's wars and violence happening in the
I'm
world
aware.
because it is within our nature to be violent.
No, but
No, that's
The
that doesn't
only-
mean it's within our nature.
There are reasons behind the wars. They're not just
Even and
wars
FYI,
because of
even
violence.
animals who consume other animals, they don't do it because they like the violent part of it. They do it because they have to. If you were in a
But that's the same
situation
as
where
us.
Yeah, I
no,
don't know
because
that.
you were in a situation where you would have to consume animal products.
Yes.
You would. I wouldn't say sit here and tell you to not. I'm not here to tell you to die or be unhealthy. I'm here telling you that you don't have to. So then why not stop? Because animals are not in this position. A lion doesn't have a choice like you do. A lion doesn't even know how to morally judge a choice.
Exactly.
Maybe
So they don't think that's you're explaining that they don't think that they don't have the same thinking as
they
we
don't
do.
have moral judgment. But there's human beings who don't have moral judgment, and yet we
Yeah,
and we
that's
don't
not
put.
true.
But you can't compare humans
That's
to
not true.
animals.
Why not? We are
Because
animals.
We're not the same as them.
No, but we're
We are in
different.
all the
We're
ways that
different
matter.
On like the pyramid, we're much higher than they are. Like it's
Which pyramid?
So
I'm
do you think
saying,
that we
like-
shouldn't have any pets?
Of course not. But that's a different case, you know. Like, if you, I think humans and animals can be friends. I'm not saying we
so
can
if
be
we're the
friends,
same
but
as animals, then we can like hunt each other. We can act the same way towards each other that animals act towards each other.
it would
like-
be immoral. But yes.
So you're saying it's
But that's
immoral for
immoral.
animals
there's,
to.
like-
Yes, it is, but they don't know. There's a difference between like if a child were to be killing.
Right, they don't
let,
know.
let
so
me
they're
put it
at
this
a
way:
different level than humans
if
are.
you accidentally,
Completely.
if
They
you,
have a-
yeah, but again, like if a child, right, a child that's a 3-year-old child, he doesn't know right from wrong,
Yeah.
and he kills a dog because he doesn't know right from wrong. Doesn't matter. We don't have to judge what's happening there. He killed a dog. Do we blame the child? No, because he doesn't know right from wrong. But if an adult does that, he does know right from wrong. If this child remains with the same intellectual capacity throughout his life, so he's intellectually challenged, we don't think that they're inferior and thus they need to be exploited or slaughtered, right? So just because animals have the same level of intellect as this 3-year-old child, animals kind of do have the level of intellect of a 3-year-old child, by the way, like cows, cows
But
and
those are
pigs for
certain
sure.
animals. What about? Okay, what do you think about using, I don't know, a snail or insects for color and other
But
pleasures that people use?
we shouldn't be because we have choices.
But do you think that but do you think those insects have choices? Do you think they have the same level of intellect as all animals? Like
they are, if they are sentient, then we shouldn't be doing this to them.
they're
If they
what?
sentient means that they have a subjective experience of the world. It means that
so
through
do
their
plants,
eyes,
and we're using
Right.
plants for a plant-based diet.
plants are not sentient. But even if they were, let's put it this way, even if plants were to be sentient, if you believe they're not, but even if they were to believe that they are, okay, I don't want to debate whether they're not or they are, because mass media has fucked that up completely, the science behind it, and it's not true. But even if you believe that they are, it would be morally preferable that you minimize to the maximum the number of plants, the sentient beings that you kill. And when you consume animal products, you are killing considerably more plants and exploiting an innocent animal because that animal was fed considerably more plants than you would have otherwise eaten to get the same nutrition. So in an essence, regardless, you should be, it's essentially what I'm saying is that if you're
You can't
walking,
compare the intake of like vegetation of a cow to a human.
of course you can, because cows are mostly fed soy and alfalfa. Soy, in most of the soy grown worldwide, which is responsible for so much deforestation, 80% of the
So you think
soy
we
grown
should
for
just
food,
survive? Like our protein should just be
yeah,
like-
plant-based.
But aren't there problems
It's healthier
with
for
this
us and
way?
better for the environment.
It's better for the environment in some ways, but it's also
what about all the
factors
problems
that
of-
make
the production of it?
yeah.
So if you were, like, listen, you don't have to trust me on any of this, but if you were to find out that there's no environmental issues, no health issues, what exactly is the issue? Like honestly, like I don't want to, because I can
But it's
explain
so
all
much-
of
that
this
is an
to you.
so
ideal
much
for the future.
deeper than that.
But
What
you
if
see,
you just
but,
like meat?
but you see, even in a situation, even in a situation where you would see that there's no environmental issue, no health issue, you still wouldn't consider
No, I would.
giving animals the moral consideration that they deserve to not be exploited and
Why
slaughtered.
not? I would.
So why don't you do it today? Why don't you see it as?
I don't think there are enough alternatives, and I also don't know that it would be the best idea for my health.
So again, if I give you all the resources necessary, then up until you make your research, then wouldn't it be extremely important for you, because you have to do your own research. I
I am
agree
a
with that.
vegetarian right now, and I'm really struggling with like my cousin also. She was a vegan, and she's like such an animal lover, like you. She couldn't do it.
I'm not an animal lover.
You don't
Sounds like you're an animal lover.
No, I respect animals. That's it.
Okay, well,
I don't.
she had to
love
add
any-
add dairy and eggs back into her diet because she couldn't like.
Yeah, and my uncle,
It's also
my
a
uncle had.
financial
She likes
problem
Wait,
right
wait.
now.
But my
Yeah, it's
my
also
uncle
that.
had stomach cancer, and he had to go plant-based because he had stomach cancer.
Okay, that is obvious.
No, I'm just trying to say, like, anecdotes don't mean anything. Anecdotes, you know, a diet is such a complex thing that of course somebody who
Okay, but something
they
that's
said they
not
went
based on
vegan,
the highest
they probably
sources of-
didn't do it the right way. Meat is not a good source for anything. FYI, red
Eggs
meat.
are-
Very controversial.
Red
For
meat.
iron?
Red meat is type 2B carcinogenic.
Red
meat, but
yes,
there's other
types
types.
of
Okay,
meat.
chicken.
So many other
or
kinds of meat
poultry.
that are so healthy for you.
Well,
know
saturated
eggs.
fat increases your risk of heart disease.
cholesterol,
Cholesterol increases
yeah.
your risk of heart disease. All of
Yes.
these are in all animal products. So it's
And I'm
like
sure there's negative sides to all the
to all-
plant-based
sure there are, but
options.
see, but that's the thing.
Like
That's the thing.
plenty.
What I'm trying to say is that you can be healthy. I'm not disagreeing that you can be healthy on a meat-based diet. You can obviously be healthy by eating meat, but you can also be healthy by eating plants. So why would you ever
Right, so
choose
do
to
both.
eat? But why? Why do both?
There's
Because
no point in doing both.
that's the whole
Well,
point.
the thing is also that all these products, it's not as widely they're expensive because it's not.
Pasta, rice,
No, I'm
beans,
saying, like,
lentils,
you were gonna get, like-
chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, bread.
all very I mean, the pasta and the tofu, like that's processed.
But processed food is okay.
Processed
What do you
food
think
is not
meat
the
is?
healthiest
Wait.
food.
What do you
No.
think meat is? No, ultra processed food is bad. What do you think meat is? Meat is processed.
It's not
Okay, that's very different.
What do you mean? You
not
heat it
processed,
up. It's a process to
No,
if you
yeah,
want to
but
eat it,
that's
you
not-
heat
no,
it
it's
up.
It's not processed like pasta.
What do you
and,
think
like,
tofu is?
Soy.
What is it?
It's from plants.
It's blended up soybeans. Fermented soybeans. It's
but
healthy.
having soy, like
I
there are
don't
negative
disagree.
side effects to having a lot of
But
soy
anything
as well.
in
I mean, you're arguing nutrition with a certified nutritionist, and I actually
no
have the
problem.
data
Right,
to
so
back
you
it
set
up.
yourself up with obviously all this like plethora of knowledge and like okay, yes, obviously we can't argue.
But that's
all
why
the
I
things
don't
that
want to
you
go about.
research every
But that's why I
single
don't
day.
want to care. That's why I don't want to discuss nutrition with you, because it's not about me showing that I have more knowledge than
No,
you.
it's just
But what
that
I'm trying
this
to say
more
is that.
complex than just do you love animals.
But given
or
the
respect them.
my,
Respect.
I'm just
Sorry.
saying this: if you were to find out that you can be healthy and thriving on a plant-based diet,
Yeah.
would you see it as a moral obligation to do so?
I don't know that I would say an obligation.
Yeah, I
I think
don't
that
think
it would be.
call it an obligation because that's not what like you also have to take into account society.
What? Why? What do you mean you have to take into account society?
I feel like that has to do with like everything in like the food chain. Like you can't just make your own decisions.
So how do you morally justify putting a cow into a slaughterhouse when you can choose not to?
I mean, I don't know. I think there's also
I think the
there's
process
deeper
can be
ways, it's the-
improved,
yeah,
and I
there's
think that eventually
processes.
the goal is to
have
do
you
as
seen the
say.
difference in
I think there are
killing
some
a cow in a regular way and also how Jewish people slaughter
I
a cow?
have, yeah.
Okay,
Do you
so
think
see
you
the
doing this
difference?
is gonna make a difference?
It's way worse.
No, it's not.
It is, because
The
they don't
way-
use a bolt gun. Yeah. Have you ever seen it?
No, yeah, I
put
have seen
Let me
it.
show you, because I have it right here.
Okay.
The comparison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the comparison. I
Oh,
want to
so-
show you that this, the sheep. This is not the halal. How do you call it?
Kosher?
Kosher, yeah.
Right, but
They just
Just
use a
because-
sharp knife to cut their throat.
no, but okay, but just because it looks
But
that
they
way
do it
doesn't
the least
necessarily mean
painful
it's a
possible
more
way.
painful
That's
way.
instant death.
They
This is
cut a
not
specific.
instant.
No, yes.
Do you
they
know where the
cut a
pain
specific.
receptors go through? Do you think this is like
don't know where the pain
like
receptors
fuck
go
it? First of all, they go through the spine. They don't go through the blood. But like, let's
What?
your pain
They
receptors go
cut
through
a
the spine.
specific artery.
Yes.
not through the blood. Yes, they cut the
Yes.
blood, but you still feel pain because the pain goes through the spine, not the blood. But even through you, with you, right? That's why some people, when they have a spinal injury, they no
Yes.
longer feel
Correct.
feel
Yeah,
things.
they're paralyzed.
Yeah. So it's because it goes through the spine. But let me
what's your
ask you this:
comparison
do
of
you think
what-
that this is in any way right to do when you have the option not to? Because that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I understand that you're trying to find all these ways. Like, and I'm not judging, by the
I
way,
get what you're
but
trying to say. I just think it's a lot more complex than
I do
that
also. I don't.
think that
I'm
is
a
the
vegetarian,
ultimate
like,
goal.
I don't think that's like.
but if you
like,
consume
that
dairy
bothers me,
products,
but
it's the same.
You think that's the
That's
same?
not-
Yeah,
Well,
well,
then-
cows
then
cows
that's
end
just-
up in the
that's
same
just-
point.
Because there can't be any like.
Animal
it's either
products,
it's either
yeah.
it's black and white.
It's
like,
not. It's
it
pretty.
is.
It
You're
is to
saying
the
it is.
animals,
It's
yeah.
either 0 or 100.
To the animals, it is black and white. To every innocent victim that is
How so?
exploited and slaughtered, it is very black and white. If
you
you're
think
in a
everything-
Killing
you
any-
also
I'm
think
not
that everything
eating
done
any
in
dead
his,
animals.
like,
I'm eating animal
historical
products.
time.
you're supporting it. You're paying for animals
Do you
to be
think
killed
owning
so
a
that you can
farm?
eat it.
Do you think owning a
I'm
farm
not
is a
eating dead
problem?
animals. I'm eating animal products.
I'll respond in a second. So you are not eating dead animals. You are eating animals that were exploited and killed eventually because they can no longer
Okay,
be
but it's not
exploited.
my fault. I didn't support them being killed eventually.
But you are
I'm
paying
just-
for
I'm
it.
Drinking their milk, or I'm
Maybe
eating
ideologically you're not supporting it, but you're paying for it.
no, I don't think
If
so.
this is what happens to the animals that you pay for, is it not that you're paying for it?
We agree that
But
it's not a good
I'm
industry.
I'm
that
not
it's
paying.
not
I'm not
the right-
eating the. I'm not like. It's not my intention to
There's
like.
also
So if it's not your intention to do this, I agree with
No,
you. But if
I'm
I
not-
bring it up to you
I'm not
that
eating the dead animal. I'm not eating the meat. I'm not
who
supporting
cares?
that part of it.
So wait, if you kill an animal but you don't eat them, is that okay?
I'm not killing the animal
But
either.
the animal gets
you
killed.
You can have products from an animal without killing them.
But the animal gets exploited and killed.
Okay, but that's not.
But that's
you're
what you're
talking
paying
about a
for.
very
I don't work
broad
in that.
way.
Yeah.
But if you say it's not
You're
your fault,
saying
then
that
you
there's
need
no
to stop
milk.
paying for it.
Also, me and like a couple people that you're talking to not choosing not to eat these things isn't going to make a difference.
It
There's
saves
plenty of
200.
people
It
in the
saves up
world.
to 200 animals per year per person. You
Are
could
you
save
talking about
600
specific
how many
animals.
animals
company,
there
or
are
you're
in the
just
world?
talking about
So wait, if there were
You think every
do you know how
single
many
company
people
has the
there
same
are in this
exact
world? Wait,
process?
do you know how many people there are in this world?
like 7 billion?
8 billion. Okay. If somebody who's extremely rich was to choose 100 people in this world to kill, would it matter to the number of 8 billion of people? No, it would not matter. It would still be 8 billion people on this planet. But to those 100 people that are chosen, if you are one of those people who has chosen to be killed by somebody just because they can, just because they have so much power since they would escape any legal repercussion of it, you would be like, fuck no, I don't want that to happen. So 100 animals that you could be saving each year, to them, it would mean everything.
Have you
to you,
always
it's
been
just
vegan?
some nothing. No, of course not. I changed.
So, what inspired that?
Learning what the dairy industry, what I explained, is like how cows are forcefully inseminated, they get exploited and slaughtered. And I thought just like you, I'm not paying for this, it's not my fault. But then I looked into it, because you might be saying I'm not paying for it, but if somebody brings it up to you, then you have to look into it, because you might be paying for it. And if you find out that you are paying for it, then you either try to find the ones that actually align with your values, or you stop. And honestly, the easiest way is to go vegan, than to try and find these edge case scenarios where they treat animals in the right way. You would still be going around some circles, and FYI, farmers will tell you everything that you need to hear so that you buy their products.
I understand your point, but I do think it's a very complex issue, and it's not as simple as just I'm going to go vegan. There's a lot more.
What do you think being vegan means?
No eggs,
Yeah.
dairy,
Like you want a narrative
animal
product or like
products, meat.
Do you think it's a diet?
Yes.
It's not.
A diet is
A
something
diet
that
is cutting
restricts
things
the
out
foods
that you eat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a diet.
Oh, how is it not?
Well,
a
that's
diet?
if
It's a-
society is
restricts the foods that
already
you can eat.
vegan.
It's a moral position where you reject the exploitation
That's
of
your
animals.
take on it, but
no,
what's
no, no.
the
That's what vegan.
factual?
That's the definition of veganism. It means rejecting animal exploitations as
Correct.
much as it's possible and
So if
practicable.
I say I'm on a diet of no bread,
It's a definition made by Leslie Cross, who invented the term veganism. That's what it
I
means to be
understand.
vegan.
but
Okay?
it is
So that means also,
effectively
FYI,
You're
a
cutting out
diet.
food.
just put it this way, it's also
Do you
for
want to look up the definition of
it's
a
also
diet?
for leather, but it's also for leather. Do you think that if you don't wear leather, is that a diet?
What is
Do you think
leather.
Oh.
do you think that if you don't go do you think that if you don't support zoos because they are exploiting innocent animals, they're keeping them in cages,
Yeah.
do you think that's a diet? It's
No,
not.
because that's not.
It's not, but that's what being vegan is. It's
Vegan
about
is res-
rejecting
Okay,
exploitation
but
of
answer her
animals.
question.
There
What
are
is a
vegans
diet?
who don't
Should I look
eat.
up the
There is a
definition of
diet. There is a diet. The diet is called plant-based.
It's a vegan diet.
It's
No,
a
it's a
vegan
It
plant-based
diet.
doesn't
diet.
matter what you call it.
It doesn't
I
matter what
agree
you call
with
it. There is also a diet
You
aspect
went into
to it.
terminology.
But what I'm telling you is that being vegan is a moral position where you reject animal
Yeah,
exploitation.
we went through that.
That's what I'm saying. So if you
I don't
if you
disagree.
reject animal exploitation, then you should already be vegan if your values already align with that. And if you're stopping at the fact that, well, I cannot do it nutritionally, that's what I'm trying to say. Well, if you were to find out that you
Yes.
could do it nutritionally, then why not do it?
I would do it. My ultimate goal with like my religion would be to cut out meat from my diet.
And all animal products.
But I think one thing that I
there
think you
can
should
be
research
ways
more
to
is the
have
way.
animal products through different industries that aren't harmful.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think it's mandatory then that you look into those industries?
Yeah.
Because I tell you that they're harmful, so that means
I'm
that.
trusting
but
on
yes.
that, but I'm saying I think there's a way
I
that
think-
things could that we
Yes.
could get products from animals that
Okay.
not harmful.
So do you think you have a moral obligation to not pay for what I'm saying?
To not pay is different.
To not support what
Because-
I'm saying? What I described, that you say there's a better way. That's what you said, and I'm saying,
Yes.
well, the way that I described to you. If you think there's a better way, then do
Well,
you
I'm
think
sure
that?
there are industries that
Do you
do
think-
it, that do it in a not the way
Okay,
you're describing.
if you think that, then you think,
Maybe
don't
I'll
you?
pay for those industries.
Don't you think that you should not be paying for what I'm saying?
To the
I think
specific
ideally,
industries
yes.
that
I
treat
think it
animals
can
that
be
way?
difficult to
yeah.
make that change and just decide not to have any eggs, any dairy, and just because the industry is bad. I think that the industry should be better, should be changed.
Do you think farming animals is ethical?
Farming
At the end of the
ethical is
day,
it-
like if you want to make this change in the world, though, I can understand where you're coming from, but I don't think that just like I think, like, do you think like your YouTube channel and doing this is like the way that it's
I
gonna
don't think there's
change
a
that?
problem with
People
it.
are changing.
Why
No,
not?
I get that, but I'm saying like, why would it not be a better, like not better, but why would it not be like ideal to also make change in like those dairy companies and the way in which
It's
they
not
do
one or the
so?
other.
Farming animals is unethical. There's no ethical way to farm an animal. Just like there's no ethical way
no
to farm a
ethical ways.
human. No.
It's
Because farming
not.
inherently involves you breeding the animal. Because farming
disagree
inherently
with that.
involves
But
you
what if you just
exploiting an
let
animal.
the animal's
disagree.
nature, like,
And then
breathe?
how can you ethically justify killing them when you have the option not to? It's always the same. We live in a world where we can choose to
Killing
eat
them and
plant-based.
taking products from them are two different things. I know what you're describing is that they happen together in the
They do.
industry, but they don't like it doesn't
don't
have to
have
be that way. Like they can be mutually exclusive.
Okay, so
at
so
the-
then don't you think it's obligation if you say that you're against that you find the way where it doesn't do that, where that doesn't happen?
Wait, what?
So if you, because you said, what you're saying is that the way we farm animals is wrong. I don't want to go there. I think you know that farming animals is unethical. You're trying to find ways where you think, because you see animals,
That's the
you
way
see
you
animals as
roll it.
inferior or somehow, but animals and all of us, we're on the same planet. We
They don't
all deserve the
contribute
same
to our world
They
exploitation.
are
the same
inferior in
way, like,
certain
they
ways.
are
So what?
inferior.
There's
They are
several
inferior.
animals. There's
You can't-
several
you can't
human
argue
beings.
on the
On the
basis
They're not
that we're
inferior.
equal.
They're
that
not
we're
inferior.
equal. We're not equal.
We're
to
not
them.
equal to
We are
animals.
very equal.
No, we're
No,
not.
we're not.
Wait, would
That's-
an intellectually challenged human being be inferior?
But they're not intellectually challenged human beings. They're animals. They're different.
So what is the
species.
difference? Just the
He's a
species?
human being in the name.
We're different. Like
What's the difference?
they're animals. We're
think for
humans.
ourselves.
Animals.
That's just the species. We're all animals. We're all
Okay,
we're
so
mammals.
You want me to put
Created
you next to a
differently.
cow and
I want you to
and
tell
show
me
you the
which
difference?
trait
There's
there is.
so many
Let me ask you this way.
differences. I don't know
Let me ask you this.
scientifically all the
There's
differences.
What is it?
levels of things as
What is
well.
it? What is it that an animal doesn't have that if a human didn't have it, it would make it okay to do to a human what we do
Wait,
to
repeat the
animals?
question. Wait, can you repeat the question?
No,
So-
I don't understand it.
What is it that an animal does not have that if a human also didn't have it, it would make it okay to farm humans? Or that human?
Well, I know what you want me to say.
No, I don't. I'm curious.
Morals.
No, there's nothing.
No.
There is
Saying
nothing. I'm
They
saying
don't
there
have
is
a soul.
nothing. Well, I believe they have a
There
soul just as
isn't.
much as we do. I don't believe in souls.
Just
so-
as
Okay,
much as
so
we
that's
do.
your
belief.
Okay,
That's
second of
I
all-
disagree with that.
but souls is a belief,
It's also
right?
levels of things. You can't
Correct.
compare.
This is all
like
about
if
belief.
a dog, like if you say paw to a dog and they do it, like wow, they're the smartest dog.
Wait,
in the world.
would you do what we
If
do
you
to
say that
would
to
you do what
animals-
we do to cows to dogs?
Do-
Would you
No.
sexually exploit dogs to get
No.
their milk?
No.
Wait, why not? But they're animals.
So
they're
how
inferior
is
to
it-
you.
So I have a pet dog, right?
Yeah.
So I took her from her family. Is there no
Probably.
problem with that?
I mean, there is, yeah.
So we shouldn't have any pets.
We should not have pets. Yes.
So would you
But
like
earlier I thought
cats
you said
wandering
you're
the
not against
streets of
that.
I'm
Brazil?
not against the
What
idea of
about-
companions, but the way that pets, the pet industry, by the way, is just as fucked up as the animal agriculture industry. They still sexually exploit dogs in order to get them.
Her dog has a family that
What do you mean
loves
that's
do it in
not true?
different
Do you know
ways.
what breeders do? I've been to
Yeah.
breeder farms. They
It depends
literally
what breed
not
you're
a
talking
farm.
all
about.
of them. It's called a breeding farm. Yes.
It depends
Okay.
how what you're talking about. There are different like
So
scenarios.
listen. I feel like we're going down this whole thing, and you are trying to find like I'm not
And
here to
you're
judge
trying
you
to
if I
find ways
no.
too, where
I'm
you
not.
just,
I'm not.
like-
Sure, I'm not here to judge you. Okay. I'm not here to
don't feel
to
judged.
say in any way. What I'm here to tell you is that if you think you respect animals, you cannot possibly pay for any of this shit. Because if you pay for this shit,
You are judging.
Okay.
'Cause
This
we do
isn't
hate
true.
animals.
That's not judging.
Yeah, because we don't respect animals at all.
I mean,
we
I
don't
don't know
have
what you're
morals.
going to do going
So
forward. If you
our
come back
morals
again
are-
and speak to me and you didn't change anything, that yeah, I will be judging you. But right now,
Do you think
I
I've
don't care
never
what you
thought of
did
this
in the
before
past.
you've mentioned this?
So I don't get it, like, because I feel like you just keep coming up with all these reasons, but the reality is this, right? And it's as simple as that. If you have the option between exploiting an innocent animal and not, why is it that you think you can or you should?
It's not.
that you
It's not
should
so
not.
simple though. That's the thing. What do you think our
If
whole
you go to a
discussion was just
restaurant, if you
about?
go to a restaurant right now and you have animal products and plant-based products, right? How could you morally justify eating an animal product? Knowing that behind it there's an animal who was exploited and slaughtered.
Because they weren't slaughtered. If it's an animal product, I mean, I don't know that they were slaughtered. I'm not eating the dead animal.
But they were slaughtered.
But
And
you
they
don't-
were
you don't-
they were exploited. At least you can acknowledge that they were exploited.
I think there's a lot of issues with like justifying it more. I like understand what you're saying.
How can you justify it?
Our whole discussion was that it's just more complicated than that.
But how can
Back to
you
the
justify it?
plant-based
You're in a
though.
simple
Back to the
situation.
plant-
I'm
Based
saying that
though?
that's the society we live in, and until that is changed,
So until everybody changes, meanwhile you'll continue exploiting innocent animals because
Until
everybody
the
else
big,
does.
like, there are big things that like
There are
we
more
live by, like the
advancements in
common things
technology
that are
that
in
are gonna-
supermarkets and the common things that
Exactly,
like you
you're
can
going
find
into a
everywhere.
supermarket. It's so easy for you to choose something else. You just go into a supermarket and choose otherwise. You go to a
So
restaurant
if
and choose
animals
otherwise.
had the same if animals had the same brain
Who
as
cares?
like
You
as a
can
21-year-old human, you'd be fine with them like living in our society, like having
Yeah.
jobs.
Like drinking
Yeah,
at
I
the
don't
bars.
care
Yeah?
what species somebody is.
Okay, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
not.
So then that's
actually crazy.
Wait, do you
that-
care what species somebody
Yeah.
is? Why? Do you care also what race somebody is?
No, because that's the
That's
same
different.
species.
Race is within
But
the
you
same
know what?
species.
Have you ever heard what speciesism?
No, I don't study this.
No, it's a discrimination based on species. It's exactly like racism.
No,
it's a
it's not, 'cause
discrimination based on
racism is
race.
within
No, it's not. Oh my
species.
god! Wow, wow, wow.
Race, there's different
Jesus
races
Christ,
in a
how is it that you
species.
don't understand this? It's insane to me. Do you
I
see
think
it
this
as
isn't
not
gonna
see
get
it as a
anywhere because I think
Is that
discrimination?
what
we're
you say to
both-
people?
No, but I'm just trying to understand like how is it
How
that
do you not understand this?
but
Oh, you're
most
so
people
fucking dumb.
most people understand the logic, right? Because it's true.
Did we not say we didn't understand?
you don't
Did you choose to be born human?
Oh my god. I'm not going to.
Did you choose to be born human?
If there's a
No.
if there's
Did
a
a
mosquito
cow
that's biting you,
did a
you
cow
don't think
choo-
you should go
Did
like
a
that?
cow choose to be born a cow? No. So why is it that you
There's
think
still
that a
differences.
cow
Oh my
deserves
God.
to be killed for
You
something
can't
you don't
seriously
need?
think
So
that there's
absolutely
no absolute difference
There's
between.
no difference between you and a
So
cow.
go marry
Not
a
one
cow.
that matters.
I'm gonna go
So
argue
go
with
marry a
that.
cow.
I'm not gonna marry a human being. Why would I marry a cow? But none that
That's
matters.
your own problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what to respond to that.
So you think needless exploitation is justified because they're different than us?
no, I don't
Fuck
think it's
it, I don't even
justified.
care.
We didn't say it's justified.
Well, you seem to come up with all these reasons to want to continue doing it. What do you mean? You're saying I'm not saying it's justified, but I'm going to
Their
continue
usual
doing it.
reaction to this interview, they just agree with you and they walk away.
They're
I
like,
mean,
okay,
some
yeah,
people
I'm
get
gonna go
upset.
vegan.
Some people get upset. Some people say they want to go vegan. Some people recognize that it is wrong to do so. You
Did
seem
we
to have
recognize
understood.
that it was wrong?
I don't know. She did.
Yeah.
She recognized that
No,
it's
we,
wrong.
we
Yes.
recognize the moral issues about it. I just
So
think
if
it's
you
more
recognize the
complex
moral
than that.
issue, what is where's the complexity,
already went
Sam?
through that 3
No,
times.
because you don't. You just keep asking questions. But I answered. I asked
But
you
you're
a simple
asking us
question.
questions. It goes
yeah,
two
a simple
ways.
question. This one question, and then I'm done because it's
I don't know,
we're going in circles. You're at a restaurant.
weird.
You have a plant-based option and a meat-based option. How can you morally justify choosing a meat-based
Depends
option?
if what kind of restaurant I'm at.
How can you morally justify that?
Yesterday you chose the vegan option.
I chose the vegan option.
How can you
yesterday.
morally justify choosing a meat-based option? This is the question that I'm asking.
Oh, he
Please
got you.
answer.
He got you. I love how you're
Okay, I
ending
have
it
to
with one
think.
question that she knows she can't answer.
Okay,
It doesn't matter.
I'll do my
Conversation after
research
our
on this,
entire
but I also want
conversation.
you to do research
It's as simple
on.
as that.
Okay, no, it's more. It's first. Stop saying that. It's not as simple. But also,
But you just
Not as simple as that.
I'll answer
We
my
just spent
question.
a half
Please
an hour
answer my
having a
please just answer
conversation.
my question.
We can't.
Yes.
How can you morally justify that? You cannot.
okay.
I'm not
Can you?
saying it is a
You-
moral
I just
thing
think
to
that-
do.
You're
I
right.
don't think-
I
I
don't.
think
I
there
don't think
can
it's.
be-
I just don't think that. I just don't think it's that
I
simple.
think there are better
But
and
I
worse.
will say.
But saying it's not that simple means nothing. Tell me the complexity. What's the
we went
complexity?
through the complexity.
No, you
Now we're
didn't.
gonna
You
go in
just
four
you just came
circles.
up with questions. Oh, what about animals? What about this? What about that? You
Guys,
didn't go
oh,
through
let's go.
complexity. You didn't mention any complexity. You just said, I believe they're inferior. I believe you're inferior. Does that give me the right to kill you?
Do you believe that?
If I believe that, no, I believe we're all equal in the same. We all deserve to live because we all feel, we all emote, and we all have a subjective
So are you
experience.
equal? Are you the same as that tree?
That tree does not feel, emote, or have a subjective experience of the world.
Okay. Are you the
So
same
too.
as
So
that
too.
gnat on the bottom
Science.
Why
of
is
your
that
shoe?
your line, though?
What about the fly like that comes?
Why is
across
that
your
what?
face?
Why is that the line that you make?
Because that's what matters to you, to me, to all of you,
That's
but
what
you
matters
just
to you,
don't
but I'm asking
realize
why.
it.
But you don't.
Why is
just
that
don't-
what
what is
matters
your-
to you?
if I were to describe
if
you-
this tree's alive as well.
If I were to describe you what is life to you, what you would
What if-
answer?
what if
You
it's
would answer
20
all the
years of
experience.
life?
Wait, let me finish. If I were to ask you what is life to you, not what to a tree or trees are alive, you would answer with all the experiences that you're having throughout your life and how you feel from those experiences, correct? You wake up, you enjoy this with your friend, you do this with your friend, right? That's called a subjective experience of the world.
And
That's
you think
what
there's
matters.
scientific evidence that animals have the memories
It's
of
called
their
it is
past?
it is called the New York. There's the New York Declaration of Consciousness,
But
and then
you
there's
think
the
that's
Cambridge
equal.
Declaration of
But
Consciousness.
you think
Consciousness
it's
is not
equal
the
to
same thing
humans?
I think it doesn't matter if it's equal because I don't know if yours is equal to mine. I don't know. Maybe you have a more conscious than I do. Who
maybe that
cares?
tree has
I
more.
understand
Who
that
cares
they're
if it's
conscious,
equal?
but what does
What
that
we know
mean?
is that they are.
I think it's
Like,
also
do you think a
science.
whale can remember the day before different than 2 days before? No.
Yes, there's
Why
a lot
do
of
you think-
animals who can
no,
do that because
no,
animals have
there
memory.
aren't so many
There's a
animals
study.
that can do that.
You
There's
think
a-
a chicken can?
Yeah, there's a study called Thinking Fast and Slow, and it shows how animals have the capability to think both fast and slow, just like human beings, and ultra slow, just like human beings. Ultra slow means like going to a university and learning. Animals have that capability too. They just don't have enough brain capacity to store that much information as we do, but they have the capability to do so. And you thinking that you're
Why do you think there was ever a
Chicken going to
creation?
college.
Why do you think there was ever a difference in creation of humans and animals and all the other species in the world? What do you,
You
think
mean
the point of
evolution?
that was?
No.
Yeah, or not evolution, like the creation of different species to begin with.
but species weren't created, we
Okay.
evolved.
But okay, so
From
what do you
what?
think the
We
purpose
evolved
of
from
that
what?
was?
Okay, guys,
How does
this
it
is
start?
Every
science versus
species
religion
evolved
now.
from different places. What do you mean? We evolved from primates.
But what?
Like the original thing we evolved from, what do you believe that was?
Fish?
But
Where
how
did
did, how
fish
did
come
fish? Where
from?
did the fish come from?
They've
I don't know where life comes from. That's a solution where we don't know where life comes from, but we know that all the organisms that are on this planet
But you think there was
have
no
evolved.
purpose in any difference
Yes,
that
they have evolved.
of evolution?
Say it again.
You don't think there's any purpose of what evolution did and
There
created
is. It's
different
called.
species?
It's called. What do you call it?
survival of the fittest.
It's survival of the fittest. And there's
Darwinism?
another way. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
another way of putting it, right? It's basically
and you think
mutations.
it's just like happenstance, like
Mu-
it's whatever.
so what happens is that everybody has random mutations, and the mutations
get
that
No, but I
and the
don't
mutations
know
that
all
survive
mutations are random.
they are. That's
So
and
have humans evolved better than other animals?
they haven't evolved better.
So why can we speak?
What would you
Why
think?
can we
Wait,
think for ourselves?
I don't.
why
I don't
can we
understand.
make these choices in like in the world
Right,
that
we have
But
other?
why is it that you
ability to make
cannot
a moral
understand that that doesn't necessarily mean better? Why
It's
why
not-
is it that you
I
think?
didn't
Are
use
you
the word
happier?
better.
It is better.
Why?
Because we live in a better way than animals do.
Why?
Because we
We
create.
literally have like.
What is
we
what is
advance
living
the world
better than
around
animals?
us,
You said earlier that we can make
and we live the
moral
way we want
decisions.
to.
Yeah.
And they
Why is
can,
that
like,
better?
I can make moral
We're
decisions.
smarter than animals. They have the intellect.
So
of a
are you saying an
3-year-old.
an individual who's smarter than another individual is better than them?
That's not
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
No, but no, wait. That's not what you were saying though. What were you
Why
saying?
is
She
that-
said
Why is that not? Why is that?
because based on my opinion, I don't think moral value or value in general comes from intelligence. I don't
Well,
think
I'm not
that
saying just intelligence.
Okay,
I'm
not
saying-
just intelligence.
I'm
but
just saying in
What else?
in pretty much every way. Like what's a way that animals
if we
are?
if we
like,
weren't intelligent, we would be exactly the same. identical, which would just be walking on 2 feet. We would just be monkeys who are
What's the
walking
point
on
of
2
that
feet.
life?
We have
Do you-
completely different
did you,
natures.
let me ask
you
you
don't
this.
think that
Did
there's
you
any
ever, did you ever know,
nature?
let me ask you this, we think,
don't
you
live the
think
same
you're
as
so
animals.
intelligent. Did you know the story about,
think I'm
no, not you,
You think you're
as
very
humans, I mean. We think we as humans are so intelligent. Did you ever hear the story of Roman concrete?
No, I
No,
didn't.
so that Roman concrete, the concrete that was the Colosseum was built on, the concrete that
Yeah.
you will see in Rome, a lot of the places, everybody, it survived thousands of years.
Yeah.
The concrete we have these days cannot do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's been thousands of years and nobody has been able to replicate that concrete.
Okay.
They're trying today because somebody at some point was intelligent enough to make it and everybody else wasn't intelligent enough to be able to even remake it.
Okay.
So we're not that intelligent. We have the capability to communicate properly and use tools. And we live
Yeah.
in a society where the most intelligent individuals of our species have created a society where we can thrive and be safe and do whatever we want. But none of that morally justifies taking other species and saying, fuck you for not developing this that my species developed. Fuck you because you deserve to be exploited and killed just because you didn't evolve the way I would consider you good enough that
I
to
agree with what you're
evolve.
saying, but I think that there's a reason that we as humans have these abilities that were given to us.
They weren't
that-
given. We evolved.
I understand you don't believe in God. I do.
Listen, either way, like even if you believe in God, it's still contradictory because again, you admit that even your God would rather that you not exploit and
Correct.
slaughter an innocent
Yes.
animal when you're given the option not
Right.
to. So I'm just trying to show you that there is no logical way of justifying the needless exploitation and slaughter of innocent animals. That's it. And I think we got to end this conversation because it's been a long time and we're just
thank
going
you.
in circles again.
Okay, but I think the only thing that I would say is to probably
Is this alive?
Yeah,
to
How many people are watching?
possibly
176.
okay to probably research just the difference in kosher slaughtering and non-kosher because I don't think those facts are accurate.
There was a recent
Just like further research.
There was
it.
there was a research undercover investigation in UK for halal slaughter where they
Okay,
were
do
doing
it in
both
the
halal.
U.S. Halal is not kosher.
I'm just telling you. I'm just wanting to tell halal maybe is not kosher, but I just want to tell you that there was a recent investigation of halal slaughter. They also have the same, not the same, different, but they have rules
Yes.
of killing animals,
Okay.
and they have the same beliefs that they don't suffer all that.
Okay.
And the investigation showed that it's not even halal how they do it, let alone all of these
Right.
preconceptions that they don't
Can I
feel
tell you,
pain.
halal, people who keep halal will eat kosher. People who keep kosher will not eat halal. It is not held to the same standard.
So I would research other more stringent and specifically the U.S. and the way they kosher killing.
Not
And,
just the U.S. Kosher.
okay, but I'm just
either way,
saying
you're
they're
eating
well
dairy.
developed in
Dairy
it.
is kosher, right?
Yes.
Okay, but
certain dairy.
I understand, but I'm just saying I don't think that
Depends
fact is
on
correct.
the way that the
So
dairy
factory
is
farming.
taken.
So well, you live in U.S. 98% of the animals there are factory farmed. So chances are, if you're going to buy 100 animal products, you are going to be only two of them will not be factory farmed.
Okay.
Right.
That's it. So chances are that 98% of them you will be, when you're buying dairy products, you will be supporting exactly what I said. Forceful insemination, separation of babies, killing them, exploiting them, and
Right.
slaughtering them when they can no
What's
longer
this
be.
Instagram called?
Yeah. What's it?
I'll give you my. I'll give you my. Can I give you one card?
Sure.
Can you just watch Dominion or the most important speech you'll ever hear? That's it. I'll do my research on kosher.
If
You
you
watch
do your research
Dominion.
on kosher, we'll do
I
that.
will
Yes.
because I don't want to. I want to be able to discuss that also, right? So I haven't done much research on kosher. I just
Okay.
assumed it's like halal. But if you say it's different, I'll do
not.
do my research onto that. But promise me you'll watch one of those.
Yes.
Okay. You have my social media
Thank you
there.
for
Okay.
this discussion.
Cheers. Hey, you want to have a conversation with me?
Yeah, of course.
I guess you kind of heard what we were discussing.
A bit like you were discussing dairy products. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. So how do you feel about animals in general?
Oh, I've been a vegetarian almost forever.
By the way, are you okay being live for my YouTube channel?
Oh, okay. Hi.
Can you come
okay,
on?
it's
Yeah.
fine.
What's
yeah,
your name?
Of course. My name is Agnese.
Agnese, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice
Chip.
to meet you. You are?
Chip.
Chip. Okay. Nice
So,
to meet you.
You said you're a vegetarian for a long
Yeah.
time.
Ever since I was 6 or 7, I think.
Why did you go vegetarian?
I grew up in a farm. Well, it's kind of a farm. It's in North Italy. My grandpa is a farmer. My dad's a farmer. We're all farmers. They basically work in fields, but we also had animals. And I think I never liked the taste of meat. Like ever, I was a very picky child, like most children, I
Yeah.
think. And my mom never ate red meat because she saw a veal being killed when she was little and she got traumatized. And then my grandpa kind of made her eat it anyway by telling her it was chicken or something. But eventually she understood, so she stopped, and I never ate red meat generally. I hated the taste, I hated the look of it. And then I saw the chickens, and when I understood that was going on my plate, I stopped eating chicken. My grandpa tried to make me eat it in any sort of way, like making heart-shaped cutlets and stuff like that.
Well, what about dairy products?
About dairy products, okay, so about the difference between vegetarian and vegan, for example, with eggs, we have chickens now, and we use them basically for eggs, and that's all the eggs I consume. I find it hard to go around and not find any sweet product or cake that does not have egg in it. So that's why I say I'm vegetarian and not vegan, because I also consume dairy products.
But do you know what happens to dairy animals?
I do.
You know, the forced insemination?
I do everything that happens.
Yeah.
It's
Separation of
just-
babies, killing them.
I do that. I do know that. I just find it really hard.
And do you think that for a cake it's worth doing this to animals?
I don't think it is, but generally I think I would consider going vegan way more if there were more options, as they are starting to come, honestly.
But why do you need more options if you have options?
Because then you don't really have options sometimes. Sometimes you are in some place and sometimes you need to eat out, for example.
Do you need to do that?
Yeah,
Can't you eat at home and go out?
I travel quite a lot, so I don't have a kitchen sometimes when I stay in hostels or stuff.
Well, in the places where you go, don't you think that like you could choose to eat? I don't know if you travel. When you travel, you could choose to
Yeah.
eat less or eat plant-based or find the solution, or not even eat sometimes. Maybe skip a meal or two, because if you were to be uncomfortable doing that, you would just feel uncomfortable and maybe feel hunger or whatever. But to those animals, they get exploited and slaughtered for you, right? Like, if you put it into from the perspective of yourself or them, don't you think it's worse for them than for you?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. But it would be like, oh yeah, let's just starve because there's famine in the world.
I'm not saying
Something.
starve. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, obviously, if you're in a situation where you would die if you wouldn't eat, no, fuck it, eat, do what you gotta do, right? But in a situation where I would starve, I may kill a human and eat them,
Yeah.
right? I wouldn't, but
I
that
get
doesn't
that.
give me justification to do so to any other animal, just because I can. And I feel like I've traveled also in a lot of places, and there hasn't been any place where, sure, there's been places where it's been more difficult, but it hasn't been a place where it's been impossible. And I know there's people who have difficulty changing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no. It's just that I feel like, and maybe I'm getting this wrong from you, but I'm getting that it's enough. You know?
I'm not saying it's enough. I'm saying I'm trying to do something different with what I had. And, it's a process, as it is with everything. And I'm not saying it's enough.
But let's put it this way: there's in the news they make a report and you find out that all the milk, everything is coming from dogs. Was actually coming from dogs all along, and we've
Okay.
actually been using dogs to exploit them,
Yeah.
to use milk for, I don't know how, but we've been doing that. Would you continue paying for it?
It doesn't matter to me, really. It's the same as I literally live with chickens sometimes inside my house, with rabbits.
What about
It's
if
the
it were
same.
humans? Same thing with humans. Would you still see it as the same? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, probably would. It's kind of the same. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I'm trying. It's something different. As
Where
I
is
said.
it that you're having difficulty? Maybe I can help you.
With cheese, basically. Generally with cheese.
But cheese isn't a necessity, is it?
No, I know it's not. But with finding protein, sometimes it's really useful when you're on a run or you're trying to find something. So yeah, it can be useful.
But if I give you some resources to help you with this, like with access to a nutritionist and all this for free, then do you see it as a moral obligation to to not participate in this anymore?
Not as a moral obligation, but it would be more. It would be like an encouragement.
What would make it a moral obligation to you?
I don't think that you can make people feel it as a moral obligation generally, because there are people, there are.
To you?
Oh, to me, you say. I think it has to come from inside of me.
No, of course, yeah. That's why I'm trying to understand what exactly is it. Which line would you never cross for optional food?
What do you mean? Like, which line was I?
Yeah, like what is it that you wouldn't do for optional food? Would you support the rape of a human being for optional food?
No, probably not.
Would you support the rape of a dog for optional food?
Probably not.
How about a cow?
Yeah. I
Yes?
get that. No, I get that.
But dairy cows are raped.
I really do get that. This is the thing. It's
So-
just.
So where's the
sometimes,
line? Is it from between a dog and a cow?
No, it's not about that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I have a question for you now.
yeah.
What's this social experiment about?
I was gonna do a social experiment, but you kind of heard it. I usually just ask how we feel about animals, that they deserve more consideration. I speak a little bit
Yeah.
about animals, and I bring it to the farm animals, and I try to get people to see that there's no real difference between the animal type or animal species,
Yeah.
and that we're all the same in all the ways that matter, and then exploiting and slaughtering them for optional products is essentially wrong.
Yeah.
That's the social experiment that I'm trying to do. But we always, I started with you with you hearing half the conversation, so I
Yeah.
couldn't really go through it. And I'm just like, I'm trying to understand now, because obviously I don't care what you did in the past, and you can justify it to yourself or whatever, however it was. But going forward, how can you justify the violence that these animals go through?
It's not really about justifying. I think it's about. It's not about survival, but about survival of peace of mind in some sort of ways.
But how can you
'Cause-
get peace of mind?
No,
knowing that?
because sometimes it's about everything. It's not about this particular topic.
I understand,
It's,
but
how can I go on knowing that my government is funding a war?
I understand all that.
How can I go on knowing?
But you're
that-
making this choice, and there's a difference. We can with all these other choices. You could argue that you cannot really make different choices. With the government, you can go out there and protest, right? But with this one, you can make the simple thing of making a different choice.
It's not really just a different choice, because the thing is going to go on. I can spread awareness. I can do what
But
you're
innocent
doing.
animals that go through the process for you, do you think to them they care that you're going to spread the word? To them, they're like, why did you put me in a slaughterhouse?
No, but this is what I'm saying. That this is going to keep on. Even though I'm vegetarian, there are animals that are being slaughtered on and on and on.
Yeah, but you could be saving up to 100 animals per year. Even if you were to be saving one animal, why wouldn't you choose that? To them, it means everything. To you, it's a meal you forgot. If I ask you what you had a month and a half ago, nobody remembers, of course, because we forget about them. They give us pleasure in the moment, and then we forget. But the thing is, we can get pleasure also from plant-based products. We just, I get it. It's a little bit difficult at first because you kind of have to find the product. We lived, it's something that you did 3 times per day. We all were part of it, but my point isn't necessarily. I mean, I want to push you in that direction. I'll be honest with you. But I want, more than anything, I want to see you wanting to not be part of it, because if you don't want to be part of it and you're having difficulty, it's a different thing versus being apathetic towards it. And you are being a bit apathetic towards it. Where like, yeah, but the government, yeah, but this. You see it as an issue that, like, it's not really worth doing anything about it because it's going to happen anyway. But it's not. It doesn't really work that way.
Okay, I can appreciate your input. I think I'm going to go. Sorry, I'm a bit late
Okay.
up. So yeah.
So what do you want to do going forward? How many more animals should be exploited for you?
I think that's a question that kind of guilts people into it. I think I've had a pleasant conversation, but I think
But you should feel guilty.
with people,
Don't you think you should feel guilty when you do something wrong?
I think I should, and I think people should, but I think with people, a different approach is necessary.
Okay, you can do this, you're on your own, and do it differently if you think what I'm doing is wrong. But why is it that, again, because what I bring to you isn't about how I do activism, but rather something that animals go through for you. And I'm trying to understand Why is it that you think it's okay to do this to animals? And I'm just being direct. You may not like me being direct because maybe everybody in your life just told you things that you wanted to hear and be confirming your beliefs. But I'm here to tell you the actual truth. I'm not here to insult you or tell you anything, because I never did that. I'm just telling you, when you will buy an animal product, an innocent animal will be exploited and slaughtered for you, and you have the option not to. So I'm just trying to understand how your values could say that it's okay to do so.
I understand what you're saying. I've told you before, but I feel guilty. I think some people can feel guilty already.
So why not change?
We talked about this. Okay, I'm going now. I'm sorry.
But you
We
gave just such
we-
platitude answers.
we
Oh,
had
I
a
have to
nice-
go
we had
out,
a-
it's difficult.
We had a nice conversation, but now I really do need to go. I was just passing through. I was having a chat with you.
Okay. Can you just
Okay.
watch one of these videos? Can you promise me
Thank
you'll watch
you.
one of these?
Okay, yes.
Dominion
I
or
will.
the most important speech you'll ever hear?
Okay.
You just gotta scan this QR code.
Okay.
And one more thing you have there, maybe it will help you. It's called Challenge 22. They hook you up with a nutritionist and then send you recipes every day for free
Mhm.
to help you go vegan.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good one. Ugh. I do not like people like her. I really do not like people like her. I'm sorry. I hate to be a dick, but people like that are like people who become complacent. Maybe she'll change. Maybe I'm being a dick right now. Maybe she'll change. You know, if she changed, that's all I want. That's essentially what I'm saying. Mark J, thank you so much. We don't live to eat, we eat to live. And we don't need meat and dairy to be healthy. There are plenty of alternatives. Very well said. Very well said, Mark J. And that's also that's my problem, because like I understand that to some people it may be difficult, and we cannot judge if somebody has difficulty, right? We cannot possibly judge that. I think like it would be insane for me to sit here and say you're wrong. Like, you know, I think if somebody, they're truly being honest and trying their best, sure, you know, they're trying their best. What more can we ask for them, right, at the end of the day? But they got to be truthful with that, and this girl wasn't truthful with that. Most people aren't. That's the reality. Most people aren't truthful when they're saying they're trying their best. So I just want to see people actually say, well, okay, fuck it, I'll try my best, or, you know, try to find solutions. I don't know, like, I feel like, yeah. The conversation with the 3 girls from US took it out of me a little bit. This whole using religion to justify exploitation and slaughter, it's sad. It's sad to see. And yeah, I think I have maybe, I don't know, 10 more minutes and then we'll be going. Stay hydrated. Thank you for reminding me. I haven't drank any water since I've been here, and I am thirsty. I think what I'll do, will be thank you for doing this work. I wish I had your patience, says Christian Jun. Hey, thank you for everybody for supporting, for being here. I try to be patient because I feel like I'm not always. I think everybody who has been with me has seen that I'm not always very patient. Sometimes I'm a bit impatient myself. The reality is, when you see what animals go through, when you see the violence that they go through, it's very difficult to justify it. You know, it's very difficult to accept it from other people. I'm going to be holding the sign that says, if you're not vegan, you're supporting needless animal exploitation, just to get a bit more, yeah. Chip, how do you handle getting kicked off of public places? I never got kicked off of public places, Daniel Broccoli. I never. I got kicked off of private places. So you see, this museum. I was somewhere there in the middle of the museum when it was raining, and they said you can't do that there. So I had to move. And I generally, if like there's a logic behind it, I respect the logic. But if there are people who are just following rules, fuck no. You know what? And there's an intersection here in Amsterdam that, well, when I go to a certain gym, now I go to a different gym, but when I would go to that gym, I would have to pass it. And the intersection is literally 2 meters wide. Like it's in feet, let me see, like 60 feet, I don't know. It's like as big as the sidewalk that you see here, right? You see the sidewalk. It's pretty small. It's like, what, barely fit 2 cars or something, right? And in this intersection, what I did was, with my bike, it was a red light, there were no cars, I looked left, I looked right, and I passed. It's small, whatever, I just passed. The police saw it. They came after me and they stopped me, of course, trying to give me a fine. Speaking of what you just asked. And what I said, well, listen, officer, I don't think we should be blindly following rules. I safely passed the intersection. I put nobody in danger. Why is it that you think you need to give me a fine for this? You know, the reason why we got Nazis and Holocaust was because people were just blindly following rules without filtering them to their logic. But yeah, the police here is very, very well trained. So they still gave me a fine and listened to me, and then I went out of my way and I paid the fine because, you know, I didn't want to go through the whole process. But yeah. That's it. I tried to challenge it, but you know, some systems you cannot easily challenge by yourself. Either way, that's my response to how I handle being kicked out, right? I try to fight it, but if I can't, I just move. I'm not gonna. I feel like I don't want to waste my energy trying to, I don't know, fight some ridiculous rules or some ridiculous people who want to ridiculously defend stupid rules. So I'd rather just move and do my thing continuously. At the end of the day, I think I serve more by spending my energy fighting for the rights of animals, maybe the rights of trans people and such, instead of this ridiculousness. Do you guys agree with the sign?
I don't know yet. I'm going to do research.
It is 100% true. So my sign now says, if you're not vegan, you're supporting needless animal exploitation. I'm going to hold the sign for a little bit. Let's see what happens. And then we're going to be doing something else. They eat meat in the Bible, says somebody. Who cares? They also kill people in the Bible. They also do a lot of weird shit in the Bible. Does that mean we should do that? No, of course not. We use our logic, right? In the Bible, there's a passage in the Bible that it literally says that you can, and not that you can, but rather that you should be enslaving people who are not coming from the same land as you, as in people from other countries. Should you do that? I don't think so. Yeah, look, Exodus 21:20 said, I can beat my slaves. Should you do that? No. Hey. It doesn't really matter. Somebody just removed all logic and just said meat. I see somebody, trooper, said, oh, okay, I cannot debate this. I'll just say meat. Yeah. And these girls were saying that we are intellectually superior to animals. Sure, meat. I'm sorry, I made to be a dick, but come on. Bring arguments. And now spamming with that. It's so funny. It's so funny to me that people think we are intellectually superior to animals when literally you look around and everybody behaves like an animal. Everybody. Every single person that you will look around you will notice that they behave exactly like an animal. They're using their instinct. They're not thinking most of the time. They're using some fast thinking. Most people have gone through school, and that's the only time that have learned something. And after school, that's it. No more learning throughout their whole entire life. They just go with whatever it is. If the news says something, they believe the news. If this says something, they believe that. Doesn't matter. They don't think. Most people don't actually think. Sad to see, sad to hear, but yeah. Somebody says, love your activism, love from Texas. Hey, thank you. Nice to have you here. Sam Perry. Did you change your mind about predator culling if it did not destroy ecosystem? Hitachi, I do have a take on predator culling, but I don't think culling is the solution. I think I definitely have a position on it, but not culling them, no, for sure. I don't think that's the right way to do. Chip was totally born female. Their transition went well, says Trash Channel 1970. Hey, I'll take it. I don't care. You can call me that. That's not true. But you can call me that. I would take it as a compliment. Hey, Peg, nice to see you here. I would take it as a compliment if you say that I'm a woman. I would take it as a compliment if you say I'm a man. I don't care. Whatever gender I have, whatever gender I choose to have, doesn't matter. I'm still the same individual with same ideas, but just because you cannot possibly argue against my logic, you choose to commit an ad hominem and attack me as an individual. And not only that, but you're showing your bigotry by doing that. So that is kind of sad and insane. Moonrise Studio, that's so nice. You have a very inspiring presence and make such a considerable difference in the world. Favorite vegan on the internet. Hey, thank you so much. I'll help you with the fine, but be careful next time, please. Love, says Marcos. Marcos, thank you so much, but this was long time ago. Thank you for the donation, though. I appreciate it. But yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate you. Let's see. You can take a photo if you want. It's true. You're vegan. Hell yeah, that's what we want to see. More vegans. Vegans. Love it. So nice, huh? I'm starting to see more and more people go vegan. More and more people want to do, want to reflect and change their ways. It's happening. It's happening. It is. Hell to the yeah, says Jania. Hell to the yeah. Samarth Gohol says, "Sup, bro, can you tell me more about this?" Sure, Samarth. So we are here on the street. We're kind of at the end of this. We've been doing this for 2 hours, but I'm just here holding a sign that says, if you're not vegan, you're supporting needless animal exploitation. The reason why I'm holding the sign is because it's 100% true. If you are not vegan, what you're doing is you're supporting animal exploitation when it is not needed for you to do so. You can always choose to go plant-based for food. You can always choose to not wear leather. You can always choose to not wear fur or down. You have all alternatives for every product where an animal product was used. That's the whole point of veganism. If you have an alternative and you don't need to exploit an innocent animal, then why ever choose to do so? It's as simple as that. Somebody said, deport him. Dorothy, I'm a Dutch citizen, man. You cannot deport a citizen. But interesting, interesting that you're saying that, huh? That's your solution to everybody. Oh no, he uses logic. Throw him out. He uses logic to challenge preconceived notions of our societies. Ah! Haha, she wants me to deport. She wants to deport me too, says the LTN. Funny. God gave us all a brain, and yet you go against his word. Yeah, so God gave us a brain. God gave us, well, I don't know which God, but I'm assuming you use the Christian God. So your Christian God gave you a brain and said to use your brain, and you think that it is moral to needlessly exploit an innocent sentient being because you get pleasure from it. Sure, I get it. Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm vegan, but I eat animal crackers, as Michael Cannelly. That's funny. That was probably funny. I appreciate it. That's a good one. I love my 16-ounce ribeye steak. You love. Is it yours really? Don't you think that meat was somebody's body at some point? You agree with the sign? It is true. If you're not vegan, you're supporting needless animal exploitation. Innocent animals get their throats cut for you. Love the sarcasm. Keep it up, and it's entertaining. Yeah, sure. I guess I'm in a good mood. I don't know why. I've had the whole week with We the Free, where I've met the amazing team behind We the Free, and it was just so nice to meet. I had the whole 10 days of being surrounded only by vegans and vegan products and everything, and I just forgot how nice it is to not have to worry about things. I forgot how nice it is to just live, you know, just live. We discussed a lot of because we worked, you know, it was a work thing. And do you agree with the sign? If you're not vegan, you're supporting needless animal exploitation.
Right now, for how the meat industry works, I would say that, yeah, to
to a certain extent, yeah, because of the way the meat industry works.
Does it matter how? If you have an alternative, is there any way to morally justify exploiting an innocent animal?
For example, I have quite some issues. I'm gluten-free and lactose intolerant. So well, I'm gluten and lactose intolerant, so I'm having a really hard time with my life being quite fast-paced, let's say, not having any meat derived or any animal derived product. So it's really difficult for me to be vegan completely.
I have vegan friends who are gluten intolerant.
Yeah, I really don't have the time right now to cook that much and to prep
Or to make the right choice.
meal preps.
If you're in a restaurant
Yeah, I don't order meat when I'm in a restaurant.
or any animal product,
I understand what you say. I'm not here to change your mind. I don't think I should change your mind because your mind is quite right. I do agree with that. It's too difficult for me right now. I try to be as vegan as possible though.
but you know, veganism means. I mean, this is logically true because veganism means rejecting animal exploitation as much as is possible and practicable, right?
Yeah,
So
but
if you think you are doing your best and you are actually doing your best, then you are vegan. But if you are not actually doing your best, if you know you could do better, then yeah.
it's animal exploitation because we raise animals to be eaten. That's what I believe.
Isn't that fucked up?
It is fucked up. I do agree with that.
So why support it?
I do, because once again, my alternatives are, the alternative is not feasible for me right now. I do hope to become vegan in the near future, but it's difficult for me right now. I don't want to change your mind.
I'm going to ask you one difficult question, and I'll give you a card and I'll let you go. How many more animals should be exploited for you until you make a change?
How many?
More animals should be exploited for you until you make a change.
Me personally, I think what could make a change, first of all, would be to at least go vegetarian for everyone before becoming vegan as a society.
It's the same.
No.
No.
It's not the same.
Do you know what happens to dairy cows?
Yeah.
They get exploited, they get slaughtered, they
Yeah.
get sexually exploited, their babies are taken from them.
It is true.
And you know when they kill them? Do you know when they kill dairy cows?
I know it's very painful and
Do you know when what has to happen to kill a dairy cow?
no.
When they don't produce any milk?
No, when they cannot get them pregnant because they produce milk because they had babies. So if they cannot get them pregnant, they will kill them. Isn't that fucked up?
It is fucked up.
Yes.
It is.
And it's not a old age. It happens because they forcefully impregnate them every year. It happens after 6 repeated impregnations usually, and they can live 24, 25 years, so a quarter of their lifespan.
Yeah, it is fucked up.
It's fucked up, yeah. Yeah, and we have the choices. They don't. When we make a choice where we buy an animal product, we are putting them in that position when we could have chosen otherwise. For us, I understand even no matter how difficult you think it is for us, it's monumentally worse for them.
Of course.
Can I give you a card?
Yes, of course.
I'll just give you 2 cards because I have a couple more
Yes,
cards.
of course.
Just watch the minion or the most important speech you'll ever hear. And if you choose that you don't want to be part of this awful thing, there's a thing on this, you just got to scan the QR code, and there's a thing there called Challenge 22. They hook you up with a nutritionist and send you recipes every day. They help you go vegan for free. And you have other resources also to help you. Maybe if you're in a way where you don't want to cook too much. I also don't like cooking too much these days. I'm pretty busy, so I get it.
But what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
For real. Like on a theoretical level, I don't necessarily agree in the sense that like there is like the food chain. Let's say I do believe that they make sense if we were all like at the
But
natural
you know what the
level.
food chain is?
Currently, yeah, it's just industry and.
Well, no, but the food chain is not a measurement of power. A food chain is a measurement of how energy flows in an ecosystem. It essentially says, we learned it in school. It says that the grass gets the energy from the sun, and that's why it's a pyramid when you see it.
Yeah.
And so they get a lot of energy. And the next level is there's an animal who eats that plant and gets less energy from that plant.
Yeah.
And then on the next level, there's an animal who eats that animal and gets even less energy because the energy, of course, dies off. So it's a measurement of how the energy flows And it's not a measurement of power. But even if it were, let's say we are top of the food chain, it's a measurement of power. Just because we have power, does that give us the right to do this to them? Because we have choices, again. Like, we only do it because we can. If we had to do it, it's a different case. But if we have choices, then we do it because we can.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's a matter of being able to or not. I understand what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was great. And once again, like, I do believe this is good to do, at least to share.
Only if you make changes, because otherwise it means nothing.
I was vegan for a year and a half of my life, and I managed to be vegan because I was home basically, and I couldn't do much more than cooking and taking care of myself. After that, it was quite difficult. But
I don't want to be pedantic, but being vegan isn't a diet. It's about the exploitation of animals. It's literally, it's like being like a feminist is about women. Veganism is about animals. It's not, obviously, there's the factor of diet involved because animals are seen as food. So they're, obviously we shouldn't be seeing them as food. But if women were to be seen as food, feminism would also have diet involved in them where we wouldn't be seeing women as food. You see what I mean? Like, it's a matter of respecting animals. It's a matter of just letting them be. That's it.
do you believe that we should not exploit animals for example, pharmaceutical purposes?
Yeah, we shouldn't. For food, for clothing, for entertainment, for
Food, clothing, entertainment.
cosmetics.
Completely agree,
Yeah.
because we have way more options there. Like, we can do whatever.
We also have for pharma. We have like organs on a chip. We have several solutions nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't believe that animals are here for us to use or do whatever we want just
course.
because we have power over them. So in that sense, even if we had this amazing miracle medicine and we shouldn't test it on animals, we should test it on humans because humans can consent. Animals cannot. I don't know, give them a lot of money. Give them, if they can consent to it. I don't know, whatever it is, but I think we should always have consent in these kind of situations. And if animals cannot, then we shouldn't do this to them.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Make changes, okay? I appreciate you. Have a good one. She's like a nice person, and I don't want to push her too much. And she agreed with the sign. She acknowledged that she should go in that direction. So yeah. Speaking of, by the way, speaking of asking me what will happen, there was a police car that came, looked at my sign, and then run away. So if you want to get away from the police, just hold a sign that says you're vegan. Everybody will run away when we have a sign that says veganism. Oh shit, somebody's testing my morals. I gotta go. Yeah, that's what people do. Sorry. Okay, but I think I'm gonna be 5 more minutes. I'll give it 5 minutes and then I'm done because it's 5 o'clock for me and that was the limit. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you. It's as I was saying, it was an interesting week with We the Free. It's on so many ways. We discussed so many issues, and one of the things we discussed is that we need to discuss veganism, and in order to get to animal liberation, we need to have all sorts of activism, and that's something that I really think it's important that we realize. We need to have activists who go and liberate animals. We need to have activists who are extremely strict with humans. And we need to have we need to have activists who speak nicely to people. We need to have activists who just sit there and remind people of what it is that they're supporting. We need to have all forms of activism. That's the reality. Oh my God, somebody made a donation. Christian June says, go vegan, love all beings, trans lives matter, real vegans go beyond the plate. Amazingly said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Beautifully said. So, on that matter, if you ever feel like you want to do some form of activism, you're vegan and you're like, hey, I want to try it, you know, We the Free, AV, there's always roles in all of these organizations. I think there's also SAVE movement, Animal Liberation Front. I think every human being every vegan, let's say per se, can do one form of activism to help animals, whatever that is. Maybe your form is making videos. Maybe your form is speaking to people. Do you agree?
Yes, I'm agree.
So if you're are you vegan? You should be. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what you want. Like, sorry, it doesn't really matter what you want. It matters what you want. But it's very important that we don't criticize every form of activism, because all forms are valid, and we should be doing more and more activism. So if you think if you want to just go out there and speak to people about it without even telling them to go vegan, speak to people about it. Go out there and speak to people about it. Go out there, talk to your neighbor and tell them, hey, I love animals. Do you love animals? I think animals deserve more consideration. I don't even know, whatever, like some small thing. It helps out. The little things eventually pile up. That's the beauty of it. That if more of us, because one thing I never really understood, and I never got it right, there's this theory of change that says when we get to 3.5% of population, we get to make the social change. But this theory of change, we also discussed theories of change, but this theory of change isn't, well, it isn't necessarily the one that's the most valid, let's say. And even if it were valid, it's not about 3.5% of the population, but 3.5%, sorry, it's not about 3.5% of the population to be vegan, but rather 3.5% of the population to be activist. So we need, like right now we're what, 1 or 2% of the population is vegan, and out of that 1%, maybe 5% are activists. So any person out there who wants to go and speak up and do one form of activism, I think if you go on YouTube, I think Vegan Pixie Warrior made a lot of video, because she's one of my colleagues at We the Free, and she made some videos about what kind of activism you can do. There's so many ways you can do activism that I want more people to go out there. I think, like, if I go out here and I mean I've been doing it for 2 hours, I get it, almost 3. But if every one of us just does 10 minutes a day, hell, can you imagine just how much of a difference that could make? Just sitting 10 minutes a day with a sign that says something vegan. Hell, wearing a vegan t-shirt. Wear a vegan t-shirt. That's a form of activism. Just wear a vegan t-shirt. Wear a t-shirt that says, I'm vegan because animals deserve respect. That's it. I'm vegan because it's cool to be vegan. Doesn't even matter. Just remind people that they need to go vegan. They remind people that animals do not deserve exploitation. Whichever way, I think it helps. So I want to encourage more people to do that. I think we will reach the goal of animal liberation much faster, and it just would be amazing. I think that's it, everybody, because we've been sitting here for 5 minutes, and I didn't want to stay too long. You sound like a Siege character. Can you say, Ed mounted, let them come, in a quiet voice? Ed mounted, let them come. I don't know what that means. By the way, Ed stands for entry denial device. Lol, nothing bad. Sure. Yeah, so thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate all of you who are here. If you're enjoying these conversations, hit that subscribe. Let's do more of them. I'll be back online either tomorrow or on Thursday. I'll see. I'm trying to take it a little bit easier this week. So I don't know exactly. If you're not vegan, I have a challenge for you. The challenge is there's a 3-minute video in the description of this stream. So if you're not vegan, I challenge you to watch it. I challenge you to watch that 3-minute video. Watch it. I challenge you. That's it. That's a challenge. That's it. I don't want you to do anything. It's a challenge. If you are vegan, I'll give you a challenge also. Do one form of activism. Do one form of activism that makes you want to do. You might need to go a little bit out of your comfort zone for it, but do one form of activism. And if you're vegan and doing activism, hell, respect, and thank you for that. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for the moderators. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for everything. It helps out. I'll see you in the next one, and let's liberate animals. Let's be strong. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. Doesn't matter what conversations we have on the street. They'll be good, they'll be bad, but we'll do it. That's how we liberate, and that's how we reach the end goal, by continuously doing it. Okay. Bye, everyone.